And good evening, everybody, and happy Thursday, and welcome into another episode of Press Row. This is episode 15. Can you believe it already that we're already at episode 15? As always, folks, Press Row is your front row seat to the intersection of sports business, media, and culture, right here each and every Wednesday or Thursday on ETB, probably brought to you by Playback TV. That man is Nick Morgeson, joining us from Plainview, New York. Callum McClurg here in San Diego, California on a beautiful Thursday. September 11th, 2025. And again, we have another action packed lineup of all things topics, takes, and deep dives ahead. Make sure you're following us on social media. We are at ETB Network across Twitter, IG, and TikTok. Smash the subscribe button over on YouTube at youtube.com/ETB Network. And let's keep growing past our 1,000 subs. And of course, ETB is brought to you by our friends at Playback TV, the real time fan first experience where you can watch games with us, react live in real time, jump on mic and connect with your fellow sports diehards from all things NBA basketball, MLB baseball, and international soccer, all happening here on Playback. Sign up for free today at playback.tv/EDB Network and never watch sports alone again. Mr. Morgeson, again, we've had a lot of changing of stories today for the rundown, trying to get guests on, guests coming on, guests not coming on, what have you. But of course, Nick, always look forward to doing the program. My friend, how's it going tonight? Good to see you.
Oh man, it's been good. You know what? I love doing the behind the scenes work for this show, finding the guests, which the plan is, and I think I've got it right this time. We have at least one guest for next week that I can confirm, which you have at the end, which you'll talk about at the end.
Yes.
Um and another one that potentially could be a big one in our space, in the covering the sports media space, which could be a big one, which I'm looking forward to that. If you're noticing some new stuff in this room, also there is a lot of layout stuff which I'm still trying to man the controls, so to speak. So I'm trying to see, they allowed us to put topics in here, so I'm trying to figure that out, and just bear with us as we try some new stuff. So actually, when you're ready to start the first topic, I figured out how to do it.
Well, let's get into it. As a reminder, folks, too, you can also, again, watch us live here on Playback, or if you're in the YouTube or over on our YouTube page, the simulcast is in fact live there too. So you can also join us here or live on the ETB YouTube channel as well. Of course, Nick, we do have to start though with obviously what this day means for a lot of people in some way, shape, form, or size. Of course, Nick, this marks 24 years of the very tragic, still unspeakable tragedy of the World Trade Center terrorist attacks, the Pentagon attack, and of course the crash of UA Flight 93 into the field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Nick, I wrote a Substack piece, and I just launched it earlier this week. It's called Mr. Small Market on Substack. I've written a couple stories already about Alex Morgan having her number retired here in San Diego, why I don't watch the NFL anymore. And then, of course, today, yesterday into today, of course, I had written about the impact that the sports world had after it had shut down for roughly 10 to 15 days. The comeback, Mike Piazza's home run, the 0-1 World Series, how the NFL faced scrutiny about almost playing, much like when Pete Rozelle faced his scrutiny for wanting to play after JFK's assassination in 1963. Nick, obviously, you have lived in New York your whole life. You probably have a better firsthand grasp of this than I do, and a lot of the West Coast does. Nick, can you perhaps in some way recount that day and what this day really means to not just yourself, but the people of New York?
I mean, I had to be in like second or third grade probably when that happened.
I was
Probably
in first. I was in first grade when it happened.
because you and I are essentially the same age. I think I only have a few months more on you, I think.
Yeah.
So I probably was in second grade and you probably were in first. Um it's tough. I remember, it's tough to remember everything obviously because we were very young, but I recount just from today seeing what happened back then. Obviously, and what people don't remember about that, it wasn't just one plane. People forget, by the way. There was multiple planes, because the scary part about that whole incident was that I think they had 3 or 4 different major um cornerstone buildings that they were looking to crash into,
Hmm.
and obviously the Twin Towers were the tallest building in New York City at the time. And our country, and it's tough to talk about this today because I feel like our country is not as safe as it should be.
Indeed.
And we're going to get into that in another story that happened yesterday, also in a little bit. But I just remember that the world literally changed in a snap when those planes hit the Twin Towers. And then I think you had one that supposedly was going to the
Pentagon.
Pentagon, excuse me, Pentagon. And I think there was one in Pennsylvania and Washington,
Yes.
D.C.
Yes.
also that they were planning this terrorist group. And I've heard a lot of stories over the years where people have said to me, I overslept. My schedule changed. I didn't have to go to the office. I had a family emergency, so I couldn't go to the city that day. And by the way, I look at that more as miracle
Yes.
than, oh, I missed a meeting. I was supposed to go see a friend, and I couldn't. Thank your lucky stars you didn't end up in the city in the middle of ground zero and all that, dealing with that. Because who knows if you're standing to tell the tale today
Yeah.
if you end up in that type of situation. Obviously, when the buildings get hit, they tumble down to the ground. There was, and the scary part is, I've seen some videos over the last year or two when we've done some videos for this moment because I just feel it's proper every year to talk about this story. As bad as it was, being right in the middle of New York, it changed our government protection, not just for New York, but for the way the country now handles everything. If you remember, you before 9/11, you could walk into any airport, go through any security. The security was not as
Stringent.
difficult, and you didn't have to go through 5 million checkpoints to make sure everyone was. And at times, you just needed a license. Like you didn't even need a passport. Now you need every type of identification, and you know what? We have to because that attack changed everything on freedoms and government and how we function as a society. And if I remember correctly, the everything shut down. Everything, all of New York City shut down for weeks.
Weeks
Because,
on end.
and you know what? I don't think we do a good enough job thanking the police, the firemen. If you look back, you see all the documentaries, the day of when NBC and CBS and all of them were in the city, the people that were willing to go in to it, not away from it, and cover the story was incredible because the amount of smoke, the amount of what's the word I'm looking for that would poison the lungs of the police and the uh,
Smoke, fire, debris.
but the thing that was giving everyone cancer now,
Yeah.
the carbon monoxide, all that
Yep.
stuff. Like these firemen, you know how they say New York City has the best police, firemen, emergency. It's true. And it was proven that day because if it wasn't for the efforts of a lot of these people, how many more people would be dead
Right.
today? Now, what was the number? I think it was like 3,000
Over
was the number.
3,000. Yeah.
So still too many, far too many. Um, but it changed, like I said, and I'm going to say it a lot, is it changes the way we think about our safety and how we need to go about watching our backs. I worked in the city for 4 years and I watched my back 100 times as much going back and forth from Long Island to Penn Station. And I've seen my fair share of things. And when we went through COVID, we had to fight through all those restrictions and be safe. And I felt bad for those police at times because they're the only ones that were basically said, you have to stand out here all day and night. And that's their job to protect people. And that's what they did back then with 9/11. And you know what? It's always going to be a somber memory.
Always.
And I think the moment, and I think you know where I'm going with this, is the Subway series. the first pitch by W,
Yeah.
and that symbolized a huge kind of move to kind of, yes, the thumbs up by, and by the way, the perfect pitch, just to add to it. Now, people look past that, but I think that was kind of part of the moment
Yeah.
too, like, because that symbolized like, hey, we're finally trying to get back to normalcy. Which, first
Hmm.
of all, I don't think anyone who was involved in that, you're never going to get back to normalcy
Yeah.
whatsoever. And there were people who are still dying from that, and they have that the memorial fund, I think, or whatever they call
Yes.
it, which is uh protecting those people. Well, I think the fund is almost, unfortunately, the fund is almost
Out.
been drained out, unfortunately. But, and I don't know if you see it, they did it today. They, like, the news stations show up and they do the memorials and they read
They
all the
ring the bell.
names,
They read all the names. Yes.
which I think is important because some of those people get
Yes.
forgotten. And like I said, the first responders, if the first responders are not as tough as they are, we probably lose double or triple the amount of people that we lost. So it's a tough day for New York, number one, but it's a tough day for this country because our freedoms were attacked
Yes.
and we kind of had to rebuild as a country.
Yeah, I remember I was in first grade. Again, you can read this, folks, on the Mr. Small Market Substack. But I was in first grade, just finishing breakfast at about 7 o'clock Pacific time. So this happens, multiple hours before the sun even comes up on the West Coast when the first tower gets attacked, I believe, in New York. And Brian Kenny and Kenny Mayne were working the morning shift on ESPN. And right as the clock hits 7 a.m. Pacific time is when the first flash on the ticker tape shows an ABC news update. It was a breaking news story. I'm like, okay, what happened in baseball or football? But when it said though ABC News is reporting, like this is something I would never think I'd see on ESPN. Then it says, tune to your local affiliate. There has been a plane crash into the World Trade Center in New York City. My dad was working overnights for the local school district as a custodian. So he was asleep. My mom and I were getting ready to go to school that day. And so I jumped off the couch, like body slammed him to say, turn on the television. Something's going on in New York. And sure enough, we put it on Channel 10, which is our ABC station. And there's the first picture that Peter Jennings, God bless his soul, is showing of the billowing smoke. And yet, though, Nick, we still had to go to school that day, and I will never forgive the school district for still letting that happen. Though it didn't happen out here, but the entire rest of the entire country shuts down for operation. We had to basically, all group huddle in the auditorium, like, what's going on here? And I was supposed to go to the Padre game that evening against Montreal, but of course, it obviously got wiped off the board. But I also, Nick, think though, away from what happened. The old saying is that you never forget. You won't, I won't, and I hope that the entire country never forgets because when those names get read, it's a reminder that they did not die in vain, for one thing. But then I look at the sports angle, though, Nick, as I wrote them a Substack. Baseball cancels the games for the first, 10 days roughly. That's why the postseason and then the World Series got pushed into November because of the pushback of the regular season being moved back. I know that Tony Gwynn's last game was like October 7th. It was supposed to be like that first weekend of September or last weekend of September. That was one thing. Then I remember the NFL came under so much scrutiny. Are you going to play again? Are you going to, in a way, do what Roselle did in '63 and play after JFK's passing from his assassination? And Vinny Testaverde, your boy who played quarterback for the Jets, said this would be totally disrespectful if we as a league played days after this event takes place, especially with two of the teams being based in New York, New Jersey proper. But also, Nick, that the main thing, though, I love saying is that this was kind of the day where I think people realize that sports is your escape when something like this happens. Like I wrote in the Substack, I don't like New York sports teams because they always seem to win, like the Yankees for all those years. That was the one time I rooted for New York because you just had this tragedy dropped at your feet, or this event happened literally, dropped at the doorstep. Like, how do you not root for New York? And then I think, like you said, I would even rewind, Nick, and a quick clarification. This was the year after the Subway Series. This was when Arizona played the Yankees. So it was Mets Yankees the year beforehand. Then it was Arizona New York in '01. But you have to, I think, rewind though to 10 days after the attack takes place in the first game back when the Mets and Braves, again, big time rivals at that time when they were jockeying for the division title every year. And then you see that game. And I think that someone actually has the full broadcast of the SNY feed that I have watched in the past. And it covers the whole thing from the pregame. The Mets obviously come out wearing wearing New York on their jerseys and not wearing. I don't think they had Mets on their jerseys that particular game day, but you still see them wearing FDNY or the NYPD hats, and both teams
The
you know
jerseys too.
the
Yeah,
jerseys, even with that, and both teams even embracing before the game, like with giant, with like a giant team group hug. Then obviously you go to the eighth inning. Here the Mets are losing a meaningless game. This is the first game back in New York, though. And obviously Mike Piazza hits that ball to the ballpark. It's like I'm sure you probably could feel Shea Stadium almost shaking to the core because that was the first real moment, along with George W.'s first pitch of like, I think we're going to be okay. We're going to get off the mat and fight back as we always have as a nation. And then, of course, the World Series, I know, Nick, was so epic. I know that the Yanks didn't win it, though, but it just felt right that we all rooted in some way for New York. And then I also think, and I don't want to compare this to other tragedies, though, but here we are 20 years post Katrina. We had the Saints win a Super Bowl the year after the tragedy. The Boston Red Sox winning after the Boston Marathon bombing in 2013 that season. Like, in a very weird way, like I wrote though, Nick, sports won't solve all the problems going on in the Middle East or the Ukraine or even here locally in our
Russia.
markets.
Yeah,
But they at least though can still be an outlet where people like us who are total strangers can rally together and enjoy the excitement of professional athletes take the field. And I think my favorite shot though too of the 9/11 remembrance was Mark Messier wearing the fireman's helmet the first Ranger home game October 7th of '01, and that was the only time I ever remember the Rangers ever having New York and not Rangers on their home jerseys for that particular game day.
yeah. I mean, one thing, and like I said, when we did some video of these over the years to kind of tribute, and I think they're still up on our YouTube page. I'd have to go look for them, but um, I remember coming across a video on YouTube, and it was like documentary style. It wasn't done by like a network. It was done like by, I don't know, like just somebody who is really good with the camera, knows the angles, all that stuff. And what made me cringe was the people jumping
Jumping out of the
and
buildings,
buildings, right? And like I was cringing, like not in a mean way, just
like yikes.
like I get it, and I was like, but like that's how much danger there was with these buildings. Now I'm reading here that so the North Tower was the first one to hit at 8:46 a.m. Eastern time. American Airlines Flight 11 crashed into the north face of the North Tower between the 93rd and the 99th floor. So you have to remember, the towers had what, a few hundred stories.
They were like at least 115 stories, if not taller.
So those people were trapped, unfortunately. And I don't know, I just got like a sick pit in my stomach watching that video of seeing those people jumping. Because I guess in those people's minds, what do you have to lose, right? I mean, like, but it's weird. And then the South Tower got hit 17 minutes later. That's why you always see moments of silence at 8:46 a.m. Eastern and 9:03 a.m. Eastern, because those were the two times of the
Towers being hit.
building. And then and then the third plane struck the Pentagon in Arlington, Virginia, and a fourth crashed in. Oh,
Shanksville,
right.
Pennsylvania.
Now, if I remember correctly about the Pennsylvania one, there were some people who actually managed
The
to.
passengers were able to overthrow the hijackers and crash the plane.
Now, I don't remember what happened to the people on that plane. I don't remember, but they saved
More people.
some more people because they managed to stop those hijackers from crashing into another building. Now, like I said, security is much more stringent today. Also, people who fly planes. I mean, like they check everybody.
Oh yeah.
Now, it still scares me to this day. Like this was like a mapped out operation what they pulled off in these four planes. And what what annoys me, and it's not just the government here or corporation or whatever, but why are we in this scenario where we won't change laws and rules until something bad happens? I
Correct.
I will never understand why. Well, everything's okay, but when something really bad happens,
Then we'll
that
change it.
think about the drinking laws. If I'm not mistaken, originally it was 18. And then the government said, "Oh, we're pulling public funding to your roads and streets," and that forced them to change it to 21 years old because of all the accidents that were going on. So it always befuddles me because we have to wait for a tragic incident to change laws. Think about all the security that was put in place after 9/11.
Still there today, from metal detectors at sporting events, increased security, more police are around the venue, more than they usually ever would be.
Now, do I think it's enough still what they do today? I don't think so. I think they really need to do more in some events. Um, but I hate that it takes a severe incident to do the proper safety protocols that need to go in place for an incident like this. Like the situations we're facing currently over in Ukraine and
Yep.
Russia and all that stuff. Why are we not taking the protocols and giving the proper resources necessary to fight these battles? Because if we have countries against us, we're screwed. Like everyone goes after the US today.
Also, Nick, one other thing I just remembered is that, like, when baseball first came back after the 10-day hiatus for the attacks, I recall, I think it was Joe Buck's father gave the very good speech, or the very amazing speech about, coming back after 9/11. But I also remember, like, I think the Padres had first played the Rockies, ironically enough, in their first home game after the attacks. And I remember the first game at Qualcomm being halted when the clock hit 9:11 p.m. local time. They stopped the game for a minute long moment of silence, like they were playing, like there was a big situation, and then everyone just stopped and took their hats off and bowed their heads for a minute when the clock hit 9/11, which I thought was very moving at that time. And again, the regular season got bumped back by the full week plus. Um, Obviously, again, I think of Piazza's homer. I just rewatched the video of George W. Bush throwing out the first pitch. But and also, Nick, before we move on and get the show really started, what people may not remember about George W.'s first pitch, the Yankees actually, I think, told him to not throw from the actual rubber. They actually painted like another rubber, like a little bit closer.
Yeah,
But
and he said, "No, I want to throw it from the mound." I remember
and
that moment.
Yeah, and and there's always a post that goes around, here at a time that America needed, a strike. You know, here's George W. wearing the FDNY jacket, bulletproof vest on underneath, giving the thumbs up, and then firing a perfect strike before being greeted by Joe Torre and by Bob Renly.
And people don't realize that because I hear this question asked all the time. Well, why was he wearing a bulletproof vest? Well, do people realize that the country was more scared than it ever was at that point in time when it came to public safety and security and national security and all that stuff? Um, but he nailed that pitch. Like
Perfect strike.
it was one of those moments where you needed that moment. You needed something to kind of like ease,
Right here, baby.
but yeah, the thumbs up, easing the tension. And you know what? People give him a lot of crap for all the politics. You know what? Forget the politics. That day didn't deserve the politics at all. Like people weren't even thinking about politics. I, you probably had people from both sides really getting together
Hmm.
that day more than anything. And that's another thing we're going to talk about with this of the story too, because it caused another disturbance in that way. But you're right. Sports brings a lot of people together, whether you're left or right or whatever religion you are or whatever race you are or whatever whatever you believe. Sports brings people together because it's community. And community fights together regardless of what scenario is going on in the world.
And community is what we're trying to build here at ETB, and with our playback family and all of our viewers and those who have joined the community, those who have subscribed to the YouTube channel, who follow us on social media. Again, we can disagree about people's takes about life and stuff away from the sports world, but at the end of the day, though, and Nick, the one other moment before we do in fact get the show off the ground and running. I also remember vividly when that Braves Mets game was going on, and that, here's a sellout crowd. Again, first time playing a game in 10 days since the whole thing happened. But I remember, though, that the other tension, Nick, was in the stands. Because you and Jen know very well where the Mets play. It's near LaGuardia International Airport. I know a
Mhm.
lot of people, when they would hear the jets or, the planes coming into land in the background, everyone kind of got a little bit like, oh no, let's hope it doesn't happen again in some way during that first game.
That's right. I mean, I think people were just so on edge
But again, at that
after.
time, though, rightfully so.
No, I'm saying I
Yeah.
agree that people were so on edge after that incident because Al Qaeda took such a chunk or a bite out of our political freedom
Hmm.
at the time that people were so afraid of what's going to happen next. And remember, there were worries about possibly another incident happening after it. I
Yes.
mean, and by the way, you're not stupid. I'm not stupid. The whole world is not stupid. Think about the date that they attacked on.
9/11,
And what is 9/11 in symbolism to us?
911 emergency.
So they're not dumb by any means. They knew what they were causing, they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
And it's bad. You know what? And to this day, I still feel like our country is not protected the way it should be. And I worry about this, like, from my niece and nephew growing up.
You and me both.
And it's bad. It's really bad. I don't want to see anything happen to them. And that's why, like, when I worked in a school for 2 years, we had to do the safety procedures and the lockdowns, and
Yep.
and I had kids, and this is true story what I'm telling, that I used to have kids K through 4 because they were all mixed together for before and after care, and they would come up to me and say, Mr. Nick, why are we doing these?
These drills.
Why are we doing lockdown drills? Why are we doing? And I'm talking about the ones like where we would have to go like hide behind the cafeteria thing, like the lunch line area, and close the doors and do the lockdowns, and I have to explain to them it's a safety procedure. Like I can't lie to them, like, because I get it. Sometimes we pull the curtain over kids' eyes, but lying to them in that scenario doesn't do them any good. But
Yeah.
um, that's kind of where schools are now. Where when I worked in the school, remember back when we were that age, our parents could walk in the front door of any
Yes.
school, and there was no worrying about attacks, worrying about all this stuff. When I worked my job for 2 years at the school, we had badges, and they have systems now where I had to use it to get in the door every day. That's everybody. And there's now buzzer systems that you have to use, intercoms. If you want to pick up your kid, you can only go in the first portion. You can't even go inside once they let you in. And it was like a walk-in security house
Yeah.
almost, because of the way it is. And I don't blame them, by the way, because
No.
we didn't have like really dangerous incidents, but we had some issues before. So the procedures are needed. The lockdowns are needed. I forgot what the other one is called. So there's lockdown, and then there's
Duck and
there's an-
cover.
well, that, or let's see, Jen said our school you have to ring a doorbell. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's another one. It's either an intercom button or a doorbell.
Shelter in
Shelter in place.
place.
That's it. So we had lockdown and we had shelter in place. Two different things because they're two different procedures based on Yeah, Intruder Drill's
Intruder
another
Drills is a
one.
good one too. Yeah.
Um,
Earthquakes if you live in California.
well, because you guys have those way more than we do in New York. But
Yes.
I told you guys this story before. I can tell you where we were out with the kids in the in the back of the school, the playground. All of a sudden, no warning. We don't get a call ahead, anything. Police come running in the back of the school and say, "Go inside now!" And I'm like, that's not good.
Yikes.
Do you think they would call ahead to the school and warn security? All of a sudden, giant helicopter, like out of a movie. Like it was starting to descend and land in the field.
Good grief.
And all of a sudden, we see an ambulance come running in the back. They open the gates and they let them in. It was a kid being airlifted. They had to find the closest open field, which happened to be our playground area because it was like a football size
Oh goodness
open field
gracious. Holy cow.
next to us. So, but they didn't warn us. This is what I'm talking about in
Yeah.
security procedures that we don't do a good enough job still, even with all procedures and security that we do. We thought there was a gunman somewhere around the school. How many school shootings have we had to talk about in the last year?
2 damn men, including 2 yesterday.
And Colorado, which is having more issues with shootings in a school than ever. I mean, sorry, we're not trying to make this political. We're just trying to make a point that security is an issue in our country, and you just got to watch your back a lot more today's times than
And
when we
and
were kids.
and by the way, for those who are curious, we're going to jump into the thing or to the events of yesterday in a way a bit later in this block of the show. So we will for sure get into it, but we're not going to be too far in the weeds about the whole thing. Nick, we're going to start though with a very somewhat controversial, heated debate that took place earlier in the week on ESPN. And of course, the video has gone viral for all the wrong reasons. But of course, recently on Get Up on ESPN, there was a viral on air confrontation between former NFL safety Ryan Clark and his new NFL colleague Peter Schrager during a segment debating a recent NFL game involving the Eagles' opening game versus the Cowboys. Clark had cut Schrager off multiple times, saying in part, "That is the non player in you," open and close quote, and then telling Schrager to not get mad and let me finish first, open and close quote. Sources have also confirmed to sources that the uncomfortable confrontation spilled over, Nick, into the commercial break. Now, again, Clark is a former NFL safety, later issued a public apology on social media, admitting that his interaction with my colleague, both on and off the air, was something that he regretted. But the incident, though, has reportedly put Clark on what is being called thin ice by ESPN executives, especially since Schrager is a key hire for the network after the acquisition of the NFL Network. And furthermore, Nick, per sources, some other on-air talents have expressed reluctance to work alongside Ryan Clark in the future, as reported by outlets including Front Office Sports. Nick, I have a few things to say about this, but I'll go to you first though, because this is a three-part question. Let's get to the first part though. What is this incident though? Because I know that this went everywhere. You know, AA had a story about this. FOS had a story about this. What does this single incident reveal though about the dynamic between a former player like Ryan Clark and a journalist like Peter Schrager in the modern day sports media landscape that we're in?
This is the typical BS argument of former athlete versus experienced sports journalist or TV personality or someone who's covered sports for a while. Um, Ryan Clark is a hothead. I'm just going to come out and say that now. Um, he is part of the reason why ex athletes can be a little too coddled when it comes to sports media and being on networks. And I'm a little sick and tired of Ryan Clark, to be honest. This is not his first incident getting into it with people. If you remember, he had an incident with Robert Griffin III. I think he went after his wife, if I'm not mistaken.
And that was
Um,
and that was an argument about your girl Angel Reese.
that too, and I think we talked about that story, if I'm not mistaken, on an episode a while ago.
Yes,
Um,
if not during a watch party for the W.
and I thought that Ryan Clark was way out of line, disrespecting someone's wife. Like, I don't care who you are. You can be the president for all I care. I don't care. You don't disrespect somebody's wife. But
Tell that to Chris Rock and Will Smith.
yeah, well, that I think that was even worse, to be quite honest. But Ryan Clark has a reputation, or as they say when you work in a business for a long time, you have a file of incidents. And personally, I wish ESPN would fire him and move on because he's caused more headaches than he has moments. Now he is a personality. That's why they like him on First Take. That's why they like him on SVP's Sports Center or
Get up.
Get Up. But that that's why they put him on Get Up and First Take because he follows the ESPN morning show narratives of let me scream and yell, and that way ESPN can make viral social media clips out of it. But it sometimes crosses a line, and part of that starts with Stephen A. Smith in morning talk and television. So that's the problem. And Clark has said some racist things before. He's gone after, as I said, RG3's wife. Can we put the tea leaves together and maybe realize now? Nick T brought up a good point to me the other day, and I think he also said it on moving the goalpost. That or actually Johnny said it on moving the goalpost that he just recently signed like a 3-year extension with ESPN.
Yeah.
So he's not going anywhere. But how many incidents does it take before maybe ESPN has to say, is that did we really was that
Is that a smart hire?
Was that a smart hire or a smart re-signing?
Yes.
Was the juice worth the squeeze?
I don't think so. Nick, let me answer part two of his question because this is the one that I think usually drives me nuts, and I think you would agree because we're both former athletes. The whole I played, you didn't play argument is such a lazy ass crutch to hang on. Now, look, there is genuine merit to the ex-player perspective when you're a color analyst on a broadcast, not on a debate show like Get Up is, in my opinion.
You're right. I would say you're about 80 to 85% right on that. What I would say is, does a former player who's accomplished a lot in that sport matter to those shows? Yes.
Like Tom Brady or Troy Aikman, for example, on Fox or ESPN.
Yeah, or like on the MLB pregame shows on Fox, like with a Derek Jeter and a David Ortiz, who've won and have won rings, so they have a proven track record. I hate now that like you're seeing all these, they're big name athletes, but they didn't really win, but because their numbers and their social media following help. Look at JJ Watt, and I love JJ Watt. Like, nice guy, did a hell of a job raising what was it, 33 million or 34 million for the storm relief
in Houston. Yes,
I have no issue with him as a person, but do I trust the perspective of JJ Watt, who has never won anything?
Matt Ryan.
Don't even get me started with Matt Ryan. Like, that one makes no sense to me. What at all? Like, people get mad, like Peyton and Eli, because they do their
Manning cast,
and people get mad because they don't understand it. Look at the Super Bowl ring total. He's won what, 2, and
Eli won 3.
That's 5 Super Bowl rings. That's a lot. That's proven credibility in the field or as a professional or ex-professional athlete. But look at Derek Jeter. How many World Series rings he's won? Yeah. If you have enough for one hand, I think that more than qualifies you to talk about a sport. Whether it's now, I don't think he ever wanted to be in a booth because that's really not his thing.
Kind of a private guy.
But I think he does a good job on the pregame show. Ortiz, I think he does a pretty good job on the pregame show. Is he a little bit rough around the edges? Yes. And I have an issue with him screaming the F word out during after the Boston Marathon thing a little bit. I get what he was doing, but I don't know. I felt like that was a little rude. But
I probably, Nick, take offense, and I always love saying that I did play. Now, I played baseball from T-ball through high school, Had an offer to play Division 1, but the body was breaking down, chose not to. I played inline hockey for 4 years. I played basketball for a year. So I think I have the perspective of the ex-player thing. But I have never once agreed about the whole, well, I played this sport. Nick never played this sport, so I know more about it than he does. Now, maybe I can come off that way when it comes to, a certain somebody with a certain sport not on this network anymore, or that's not covered on this network anymore, or is. But at the end of the day, though, Nick, the crutch is so lazy. It's such a easy get out of jail for free card. And I also hate it, Nick, when I see Mina Kimes getting ripped for her football takes because, well, did you play the sport? Did you do this? Did you ever do like that's not the point of why she's there. She's there because she knows the game. Whether or not she plays it or whether or not Nick somebody plays the sport, their perspective should still mean something, right?
Yeah, and I don't know if you remember, what was it, WEEI, the producer that went after Mina Kimes,
Yes.
and I think he actually got
Fired.
fired for it. It's first of all, it's such a lazy crutch when people, well, she's a woman, she didn't play. What does that have to do with anything?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, she's probably smarter than half the world, to be quite honest. She's earned her degrees. She went to, I forgot, she went to an Ivy League school, if I'm not mistaken. So she's got a great education. She loves sports. She hosts a bunch of football content through Omaha, which is Peyton's company for
Yeah, like
ESPN.
Mina Kimes, Carissa Thompson, and then Laura
Aaron Andrews.
Rutledge, Aaron
Aaron Andrews.
Andrews, Lisa Salters.
Yes, I was going to say
There's a
Lisa.
reason they're there, folks, whether you like it or not.
Now, you want to go severe lazy crutch when they say, "Well, women are only good enough to be sideline reporters."
Are we sure about that? Because our next story, though, is breaking that glass barrier there, Mr. Morgeson.
No, I agree with you 100,000%. It's just that that's a lazy crutch
It
for
is.
people sometimes. Where think about Doris Burke, and that
Yes.
this was a story we talked about. I want to say a month ago, probably now, but because she just got removed out of the #1 ESPN booth um, for the longest time. Do you remember how many years they talked about, hey, she should get the opportunity to,
Years.
and like it was a fight. And I think the problem is sometimes networks listen too much to
Agreed.
the rhetoric, the yelling that comes from the outside. Well, she's not a man. She didn't play. I'm sorry. Like she played college basketball, if I'm not mistaken. She was a really good athlete in her own right. She knew the sport better than most. And if I'm not mistaken, she's been doing this for what, 30 something years now.
If not longer.
And I don't know. People got to get off that lazy crutch that a woman can't call sports or um, can't be the play-by-play voice. Because now we're seeing that, and I know we're going to talk about, but Kate Scott, who does 76ers games, she does the Olympics. I think she's done other NBA games. I mean, I think she's done some college football and some college basketball too. So it's a lazy crutch. The problem is, it was such a male-dominated space for
As
a
Jen
long
likes to
time.
note on Puck Talk in her, and which is so damn true though, because it always has been. Then you inject in people like Mina Kimes and Lauren Rutledge. They actually know ball, believe it or not, people. It's not that hard. Nick, the last part of the question though, before we move on to the next topic though, is with the Clark and Schrager spat. What does it say, though, in your mind about ESPN's culture that an off-air scuffle leads to public fallout and a reported rip between colleagues who say, I don't want to work with this clown"? Not good.
It's
No
not
bueno.
good.
No bueno.
No bueno. I mean, and by the way, what people don't realize, they were on NFL Live because Orlovsky was late showing up to or his plane was late or wherever he was showing up to. So they were on, and I think they fist bumped. Now, do I believe that's a real fist bump or not? I don't know if that was done for TV. I don't know. But I don't like Ryan Clark. He rubs me the wrong way in a lot of different ways. I like Peter Schrager. Peter Schrager is one of the more knowledgeable TV guys, media guys when it comes to the NFL. And so he did Good Morning Football for all those years. Would you be on a football show of that prominence all those years if you didn't know football? I mean, he also did what did he do? Fox Sidelines, I think, or
Yes.
Insider for Fox. Um, you wouldn't be working at all those big networks if you didn't know football. I'm just going to throw that out there right now. I get it. And I think you and I have had this conversation before where the networks are obsessed with former athletes for whatever reason. That is, well, we want people who played the game. Okay, that's fine. You can have former athletes in the booth, but there are plenty of amazing, knowledgeable people who didn't play the sport professionally that know the sport.
Right. Next thing in the NFL, though, as we kind of teased, though, but Kate Scott is set to become the first woman to call an NFL game on Westwood One Radio, continuing her trailblazing career in sports broadcasting. Kate Scott also serves as the TV play-by-play voice for the Sixers on NBC Sports Philadelphia, and has also called NBA games and Olympic coverage. Will be on the mic for the Viking-Steelers game taking place in Dublin, Ireland, coming up in a few weeks on September 28th. This is a huge milestone, not just for Kate Scott, but for all aspiring female journalists out there who want to work in sports. And Westwood One's decision to hand her the reins signals a growing trust in women to call major pro sporting events on the biggest stages like the NFL. So, Nick, what does this new milestone for Kate Scott mean for the future of female broadcasters and in traditionally male-owned spaces in sports like the NFL? But also, what kind of doors, though, does this open for the next generation of women in sports media? I love this. This is awesome.
I'll give you one word: trust.
Yes.
I think that's we're finally now. She's not the. Let's clear up one thing: that she's not the first woman to do play-by-play for
No,
the NFL.
it's just the first one on Westwood One Radio.
So everyone who knows Beth Mowens,
Love Beth Mowens.
um, she's basically become part of the CBS NFL on CBS roster. Like usually the first couple weeks, and then the last couple weeks, like she has a spot, and then you'll see her when CBS has the extra game every week. You'll usually see her do that game too. She's very good, and you see her on ESPN during the women's March Madness tournament.
All the time.
So let's not mistake the fact that there are some really good women play-by-play broadcasters out there. Is there enough of them getting the recognition? No. And I think this is now she's already got a track record, so that probably helped a little bit.
Nick, can I add a name for you?
Yeah.
Lisa Byington.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Milwaukee Bucks, college basketball, Chicago Sky, March Madness.
Right. So her and Kate Scott, I think, are the only two NBA women play-by-play broadcasters.
Yeah, because I think Ann Myers Drysdale is a Suns color analyst, as is Christy Winter Scott for the Wizards, I believe. And I think Sacramento might have a female analyst, but I might be wrong.
But strictly like on the play-by-play side.
On the play-by-play side, though, yeah.
And I've listened to Kate do 76ers games before. She's very good at it and doesn't miss a beat. But I'm surprised that this is the first time on radio that we've had a women play-by-play for the NFL. And by the way, they get to experience it from Dublin, of all places.
It's going to be great.
So it's very important that women have the same right that the men do when it comes to this space. And we shouldn't be discriminating. I think we got to get past that, God forbid, by now. Like that, because people say, well, women can only be sideline reporters and that's it, and they can't do anything else. All right, can we just stop with that? Like,
please, can we?
There were some women play-by-play broadcasters that are probably better than men, to be quite honest, out there. So it's time. It's time.
Nick, you ready to dive into some WNBA drama?
Oh, it wouldn't be press row without it, right?
It would not be. We have a lot, though, going on here at this rate with the WNBA. But mainly, Nick, not because of Angel Reese's commentary about her franchise, sadly, maybe for you. But this one, though, Nick, was kind of out of left field. But on the heels, though, of the new 3-on-3 Women's Basketball League Unrivaled announcing 2 new franchises, Seattle Storm forward Gabby Williams has now become vocal about the league's ongoing controversial prioritization clause, easy for me to say, or the CPC, in the upcoming CBA set to run out, though, on Halloween Day, October 31st. Gabby Williams, who also plays for the French national team, has stated that the WNBA wants to push away all other leagues without raising player salary to match what's offered overseas or in new domestic leagues like the 3-on-3 league of Unrivaled. Her quote was telling, "It would make sense if they were paying us more here, but it still is not the case." And that Unrivaled saved the WNBA's behind this year by keeping some of their talent in the States and avoiding fines or suspensions for missing training camp. The ongoing negotiations and player pushback highlight a major power struggle over player compensation um, and also with Ananami. But more importantly, though, Nick, in a startling development made late on Wednesday, shared by the WNBPA and by Nafisa Collier, there has now, Nick, been some legislation put in place that a letter has been signed by 85 members of the Democratic Women's Caucus and the House Democratic Caucus, signed to WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, urging the league to bargain in good faith to reach a fair CBA, open and close quote. So, Nick, is the attempt now to keep its players from playing in other leagues a smart business move or a signal the league is fearful of competition, as you and I said, my first show here in April on WNBA draft night, when we heard the phony baloney State of the Union address for the league, that Kathy Engelbert did not view Unrivaled as competition. Then we had Christine Brennan join us last week, who called it kind of a weird brand of basketball, basically, for what Unrivaled is. But Nick, what do you think though about this? Is this a smart business move, or though, in a way, the W signaling that the league is fearful of competition? Let's first, though, Nick, hear from Gabby Williams herself about her comments on the league at hand.
Too, I know that you've talked about the league's prioritization. Been one that has definitely, the season has definitely been one that has had its ups and downs, and the CBA talks have had their ups and downs too. I know that you've talked about the league's prioritization clause, and that it's very clear that the league wants to push away from other leagues. Do you think there is a way forward where both things can exist?
Yes and no. I think the direction that the league is going in, I think it's going to ultimately be similar to the men's, where you only need to play one season. And I think that's the goal for everybody. I don't think we want to play both seasons, but the WNBA isn't enticing enough as far as money goes in order to keep us out of the other leagues. So, yeah, it just doesn't make sense right now to not do both for a lot of players when the league isn't paying as much as their competitors. I'll call them competitors are. So hopefully, if the league wants to continue to have everybody and keep all these players here, yeah, they're gonna have to spend the money.
Nick, but it's all I've heard in the time I've been a WNBA fan is that the league is not enticing enough for players to stay and play in the States when the year is over. Again, I've heard stories about players who've gone to play in Russia. They played in Turkey. They played in some some war-torn nations overseas just to make 3 to 5 to 7 to 10 times more money overseas than out here in the States. So I guess, Nick, to again circle back to question one, is the league's attempt to keep its players from playing in other leagues a smart business move or a sign the league is fearful of competition, as we talked about, though, on draft night back in April when I first joined you all here on ETB?
They're not going to win this one. If they're going to
know how. I don't see how.
If they're going to, first of all, what they're talking about is if they're talking about attempts to stop from they're talking about Unrivaled. Number one, let's. And by the way, I think that story is a little lower down, but didn't Unrivaled just expand another 2 or 3 teams?
They're now going to. I think it's now an 8-team league come next season.
Okay, my opinion is that the league is going to grow enough to be as big as a WNBA at some point. I think they need to get it to like 15 or 16 teams for it to really be manageable and valuable to compete.
I'd say 16 to probably be like if we want direct competition, Nick, they would go to the same number as the WNBA, which I think will be 16 teams in 5 years.
So if they can get to 16, then it's a no-brainer because the
Agreed.
Unrivaled is paying more. But you were asking, is the WNBA's attempt to keep its players from playing in other leagues smart? No, of course not.
No, in no way is it a business move, Nick. They're just afraid of the competition. As we said here in early April when I first joined you guys here for the draft, Kathy Engelbert basically dismissed the league and swept underneath the rug. Like, I'm not going to answer questions about Unrivaled. Who cares?
Well, no, she said, I don't see Unrivaled as competition. Are you kidding me? And not that, and by the way, Christine Brennan did a really good job of this last week, but I kind of disagree with her a little bit that
Yes.
she called
She called
Unrivaled.
she called it a goofy operation.
Yeah,
Or a goofy league.
And you probably saw my face like turn and cringe. And I was like, wait a minute. Unrivaled is paying more money. They're a more sound operation. Now, she called it a goofy operation because she doesn't like the fact that it's a 3-on-3.
Yeah.
She probably thinks what a lot of people think, that it's a 3-on-3 pickup game, which it's not.
Clearly, yeah.
First of all, if it was a 3-on-3 pickup game, would people like Angel Reese and Paige Beckers and all of them go and play in Unrivaled?
Let
No.
alone Nick, I think I saw a story that the league's like investment has now jumped to like $350 million.
Well, I thought I read Serena Ventures, which is Serena
Yes.
Williams. Now, she kind of made a weird clarifying statement that it's not technically her, but it's her.
It's
venture.
the portfolio she has that's investing the money into Unrivaled.
Why does it matter? It's her money, regardless. I don't know why she's making a stink over that, but it's her. It's her investment that's helping the league grow. But the WNBA and Miss Commissioner over there, Kathy Engelbert, need to ship shape, or they're going to lose to Unrivaled. How ironic that the name is Unrivaled, by the way, and they won't even consider them competition.
Which I think is funny, Nick, because the last part of the question is, does the existence of a league like Unrivaled, founded by WNBA star players, does it provide the players with the leverage they need in these critical CBA negotiations? I think absolutely it does, because it's one of those, you need us, WNBA, more than we need you. Get wrecked.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer that Unrivaled has become a leverage point for some of the big names. And like I said, when you see Angel or you see Paige in the league, they tried desperately to get Caitlin Clark. I just think they didn't probably have the value or the money necessary to bring her in. Because I'll tell you right now, if Caitlin Clark ends up playing in Unrivaled, you could say hasta la vista to the WNBA at that point.
Okay, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Well, okay. My point is that you flustered me there. My point is that the WNBA will basically disappear if Caitlin Clark starts to play in Unrivaled, but they don't have the money necessary, I think, to afford what it would cost to bring her in, because she already knows she's not making the money properly that she should be making the WNBA. But that's every player in the WNBA. Now, let's go back to a point quite a few episodes ago when we were talking about the CBA lockout date coming up, and we were talking, and people were assuming that the WNBA was losing $50 million. When, by the way, there's no way anyone could know that because it's a private entity business. So unless they put the numbers out there, you would have no idea what's going on with the WNBA. But the WNBA, I think, is more valuable than people realize. Otherwise,
agreed,
these athletes would not be playing in the WNBA.
The league would not be nearing its 30th anniversary next season, believe it or not.
And the TV deals. Now, does the NBA help with that slightly?
Yes.
We all can admit that as a whole, that if it wasn't for I don't know if they would get those same deals, because they kept saying, "Oh, we'll go be our own separate entity from the NBA and we get the same deals." No, you wouldn't. You absolutely would not. Let's not kid ourselves. And I like the WNBA product a lot, but if they went off on their own entity, they'd be screwed. They would.
1,000 times over.
And especially with Kathy Engelbert being in charge, like, the Unrivaled is going to kill the WNBA one day.
Who knows when? Nick, we'll kind of get to the last topic here. We'll have it. It is going to probably send us over the cliff for the first hour of the show. But of course, Nick, the fallout though of the catastrophic events both in Utah and in Colorado have started a massive chain reaction over the course of the last 24 hours. But that has led, though, to a couple of firings in the sports world with both the Panthers of the NFL and the Phoenix Suns. With a third-party beat writer. But of course, Nick, the main story, though, is the Carolina Panthers have officially fired their communications staff member, Charlie Rock, for his social media post mocking the death of conservative activist Charlie Kirk on Tuesday, with Rock's Instagram post, which made light of Kirk's recent assassination at Utah Valley University, causing public outcry. The Panthers released a statement as well, condemning the employee's views and confirming that the matter was addressed, leading to his termination. This incident is another high-profile example, I should say, of a sports organization taking swift action against an employee whose personal social media activity is deemed to be in direct conflict with the team's or franchise's public views. So, obviously, Nick, whenever stuff like this happens, I feel the need that I have to go and like my hair's on fire in chemistry class and go and pull the emergency shower to get all the toxins off me. Nick, what responsibility, though, in your mind, does a pro sports organization or an organization in general, doesn't even have to be sports, have for the personal political opinions of their employees? And was the Panthers' decision swiftly to fire Charlie Rock the right move? Or does it set a dangerous precedent for censorship and political loyalties testing or loyalty tests in one's workplace? I, Nick, have always long said this. I think that Colin Cowherd, though people can clown him for his football takes, Nick, when stuff like this happens, though, I think people should listen to him more often. As I have said a couple times, I recall during the bubble in 2020 when the NBA was going through the boycott issues after George Floyd's murder, and also the shooting in Kenosha, Wisconsin, when the Milwaukee Bucks chose not to play their game versus the Magic, I think, and it led to, I think, a 3-day long boycott of the playoff games in the regular season. And Colin Cowherd that morning for the West Coasters opened up his monologue and said, can we look back at where we were back in the 60s when we had three of the biggest athletes in professional sports being crucified, being ridiculed by the American public for stating an opinion about where their thoughts were about where society was? That's Bill Russell, NBA Hall of Famer, 11-time champion. That was Jim Brown, legendary member of the Cleveland Browns. And that was also Muhammad Ali, the heavyweight boxing champion of the world, who all in some way, shape, form, or size faced nothing but scorn, threats, you name it, from the American population. Nick, it doesn't matter which side of the aisle that we're on. Doesn't matter if you're a left wing or right wing. I care about that if it's a hockey game. If you're a left wing forward or right wing forward, none of this other malarkey involving the P word. At the end of the day, though, Nick, violence is never the right answer. I don't care if it's about a fan, about someone's sports loyalty not reflecting yours, nor is it about where someone votes every 4 years. That's my stance on the whole matter at hand. But I do think, Nick, that there is a line in the sand, as I have already told you. There's a reason that people will put in social media bios, any opinion shared on this platform is mine and mine only, and don't reflect the views of the organization I work for or the publication I work for in some way, shape, form, or size. I have also, Nick, agreed with Colin Cowherd about when issues like this bleed into entertainment or into sports or into different avenues is nobody out there should be forced into talking about stuff they don't know about, like yourself over like me over here. Is talk about what you know, talk about what makes you comfortable, and show compassion for others that they don't feel comfortable enough to talk about pressing issues. My main stance is simple. Violence in any way, shape, form, or size, entertainment, sports, stuff like this, is never the right answer. You know, it's never the right answer to go to violence and resort to levels like this. Especially, Nick, as I think I told you in the preview room before we came on the air tonight. I work at a Division I university. Now, I work only when sports season is going on. But let me tell you, though, getting dropped off to go work college soccer, it felt very weird and honestly very wrong to be on a college campus after the events of yesterday. Again, that is regardless of who was speaking at Utah Valley University, because it happened on a college campus. On top of the fact, Nick, another school shooting took place an hour later in Colorado, which I know has become sadly so synonymous with it because of Columbine about 30 to 35 years ago. I just, Nick, but I think though I understand where a sports franchise is coming from. As I just said about 30 minutes ago, Nick, this is a way for people to get their mind off of the real world, to get away from, the Middle East crisis, stuff happening at home, stuff happening across the country, and to go and be around strangers. And either you wear the same hat or not, or the same jersey or not, you get to go and be at a place. This is why, Nick, that I long said that sports and music and live entertainment are the best remedies when there is times of tragedy, when there is times of tension like this. I wish I could have been alive, Nick, in 1980 when Team USA beat the Soviets and seeing how America became so united over a hockey game almost 40 years ago in Lake Placid. It was we, not those kids playing the game, Nick. It was, I think the HBO documentary was so well done. It was a sports writer, I think, for the Boston Globe or the Times who said, we beat the Russians, not Herb Brooks, not Mike Eruzione. It was Callum McClurg and Nick Morganson. We as Americans beat the Soviet Union in 1980 on that rink in Lake Placid. So, Nick, I'll get off the soapbox. But though, your thoughts about a couple of organizations doing what they think is the right thing to distance themselves away from politics and for where they're at with sports.
Well, before I address any of that, I just want to say one or two things about the incident. People need to realize that politics is not be all end all in life. And you shouldn't have to suffer death to have an opinion.
Different opinion about something.
And what does our country stand on again? Last time I checked?
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness and free speech.
Well, freedom, too. Like, just full freedom. Having the freedom of speech in the United States. Why do you think everybody comes here? Why do you think, and I hate to say this, but people are crossing over borders because they want to have freedom when they come here. And again, I'm not making this a political issue. I'm just pointing out why people want to come here.
It's called the facts. Whether you like the facts or not, folks, it's called facts for a reason.
So you could love, hate, or be indifferent about the president we have in the White House or any other political issue that we have going on. But it does not mean that you can take a semi-automatic gun and put a bullet through someone's neck because you don't like what they have to say. And I wrote a paragraph on Facebook because I was just it was horrible. I don't understand this country that we live in currently.
More importantly, I don't mean to interject real quick.
Yeah.
I just don't understand, though, that people can all of a sudden burn decades-long friendships over crap like this happening. I mean, are we becoming that soft of a society?
Yes.
That we can't disagree about anything nowadays without someone getting all bent out of shape and saying, well, you're blocked, well, you're unfriended. I mean, come on. Can we be better, people? Please.
You want the
Unfortunately, I know we can't, but can we at least try to be better?
I'm with you. And I'll read to you what I wrote because a lot of people liked it. And I had one comment, which was nice, by the way. But I wrote this yesterday. Sometimes I feel the world is a scary place to live in, and especially when it comes to politics. I understand people have different viewpoints and are on different sides of the aisle, either being Democrat or Republican. But that doesn't mean you have to commit violence or kill someone because you don't agree with someone else's politics. Charlie Kirk didn't deserve to be killed by a brainless shooter. Forget politics. It doesn't matter which side you're on. Difference in political views should not result in verbal fighting or violence. We all need to learn to get along in a society and learn to have healthy conversations and hear out everybody's point of view.
Without jumping to conclusions, people, let alone murdering somebody?
My point is...
Come on, man.
My point is, politics should not lead to death. Okay? And Charlie's a lot braver than a lot of the cowards out there because he was willing to go on every campus, willing to speak to students. Because what people don't realize is we need to shape the young minds to be better so that they grow up to be better people and make smarter decisions from where we grew up and all that. But there's no room for violence in this country, in this world, on this planet that we live on. Because how would, and I'm talking to everybody here, how would you feel if someone said to you, I don't like your opinions, I'm going to attack you with a bat? Forget a
Yeah,
gun.
like really? Come on now.
Forget a gun, because that's like a really that's an over the top reach. But
A
we have an
baseball
issue.
bat, a knife. Come on now.
Yeah. So, and I know people have issues with him because he agreed with the Second Amendment and all that stuff and right for protection. Okay, I get that. But at the same time, that doesn't mean someone deserves to die over having an opinion. Our country is built on freedom of speech. And that's what bothers me. And go ahead.
I was going to say I will reel you back in, my friend, because obviously this has had a cascading effect, with where we are to get the train back on the tracks. Again, Panthers fired a communications rep. A third-party Suns beat writer was also let go from his position at PHNX Sports. I mean, Nick, look, I know that the Yankees have faced scrutiny for the moment of silence yesterday. Obviously, today, though, was, they were playing at home today on, the anniversary of 9/11. And of course, President Trump showed up to the event as he probably should have. And regardless of who was in office, I would have hoped that they would have been there to be a part of of what the day means. But I guess, Nick, is there responsibility in your mind, though, for organizations, not just in sports, I guess, for personal politic opinions of the employees? Or does it set a dangerous precedent, though, about censoring somebody for their thoughts and political loyalty testing the workplace?
Okay, so I have experience understanding it. I've never done this. Let me be very clear, but I have
Same here.
But I have experience from the standpoint of I worked in political talk radio for 4
Yeah,
years.
I did for a week, so yes.
And we didn't sign contracts, but our what do they call those agreements?
And NDAs?
No. Basically the agreement that says like don't do this now that you're working for our network, or basically an agreement that basically says be careful what you do on social media and all that stuff. So I know all about this because I've read these agreements before. This is dumb. I'm just going to come out and say this now. Charlie Rock, the PR guy for the Panthers, you have one job. Don't say anything stupid. You're a PR person. Think about the irony there for a second.
PR reps should know better.
These guys are the ones that are supposed to protect the team. And what is he doing? He's destroying the reputation of the Panthers. I get, and I'm sure, probably as dumb as he is, he's probably going to go hire a lawyer and say my freedom of speech rights were violated. But someone gets gunned down in cold blood, war style, almost. And that's the first message you put out? I have it here just in case people are wondering.
Oh, boy.
I don't have that message part, but I have that he shared a Wu-Tang Clan song called Protect Your Neck.
Bro.
I'm sorry, where did he get shot again?
In the neck.
You gotta think about your actions before you do them. That's the point I'm trying to make.
There is a time and place for one who works in the sports industry to share their thoughts, for one thing. As I have already said, that my Twitter bio literally reads that all views expressed in these tweets are mine and mine only and do not reflect the views of the organization. As the Suns beat writer who works for PHNX Sports was also relieved of his duties with the Suns or with the website and the All City Network saying the same thing, that the views do not express, or the views expressed do not reflect the values and our thoughts as well. Again, we've had other things though across colleges as well, away from sports. Again, there's a time and place. Nick, my mom worked as a in cosmetology for over 30 years. And she worked at my great grandmother's salon here in San Diego. My great grandmother had two rules when she came to work to everyone that worked in the shop when they would open for the day. You don't talk politics, you don't talk religion when you are with your clients. Talk anything else, but if I hear any of that, you're done. Get out of my shop, because we're not going to do that here at this particular place. So again, time and place, maybe. More importantly, again, remember your place of work, that you're representing an entire organization, and easily, again, Nick, the biggest sport in the entire North American pro sports ecosystem in some way, shape, form, or size.
Now, it's interesting you bring that up, because when I worked in the school, this was a big problem we had before the kids would come in. And I know all about these conversations from working in the space for 4 years. And I used to tell them, I said, can we not have this conversation here? Like, we're in a school. And they told us, the head of the program at the time would say, let's not do the politics thing, even with all the civil unrest going on, all the war. They didn't want, because kids could hear it as they're walking around the hallways, even if we're getting there and setting up beforehand. And I used to get into some like verbal fights. My coworkers, I'm like, I don't want to have this conversation at work.
Yeah,
I don't.
Come on now, man.
I don't care. Like, am I knowledgeable? Do I know what's going on in that world? Yes. But I used to have to tell my colleagues, who are 30 years older than me, by the way, think about that. I'm the 30-year-old saying we shouldn't talk politics in the office or in a school building. So my point is, don't talk politics, because it leads to fights. It leads to relationships being burned. It's not good. Don't talk politics in the workplace.
Yeah. And the fact that sometimes the people unfriend me for only caring about sports is pretty sad, by the way. It's like, okay, that's my job. What do you want me? What else do you want me to do? Come on now.
And that's the other thing too. I don't know if you notice it, like on Instagram or on Twitter, people unfollow because they don't agree with your point of view. That's the reason you unfollow somebody?
Oh, it's not even that. Like, what else am I going to share? I'm not going to always share dog pictures, people. Come on now.
I mean, I just know it from like just seeing it from friends, and like I've never had that issue. Because I don't really share politics stuff ever.
I never have at all. I mean, maybe once in a blue moon, but never.
Yeah, I'm like you. Even working in the space, I don't share. I never shared it, because I used to. And the one thing that used to frustrate me a lot, I worked in a right-wing radio station, but I was there to do a job.
Yes.
I was not there to be a right-wing political pundit. I was there to be a board op. I was there to be a producer. I was there to do a job. And what did people used to do to me all the time?
Oh, you work there? What's wrong with you?
Well, no, you obviously are right-wing because you work for a right-wing political talk radio station. I'm like, how naive do you have to be?
Yeah. The next time I hear about left or right, it better be about right-wing and left-wing forwards on a hockey depth chart on Puck Talk in a couple of days.
Yeah, but this was the right move by the Panthers to let him go. The guy died, and it wasn't even his fault. Like, and 2 kids and his wife don't have their husband and their father anymore because politics went overboard to a crazy wacko with a semi-automatic gun.
Yes.
For crying out loud. So can we just try to get together and be nice to one another, please?
Exactly. All right, folks. We will now reel you back in for sports content now. We're off the soapbox. We just, again, it's hard not to be oblivious to things like this, especially when stuff then leads into the sports world with people losing their jobs because of, their own thoughts on it. But with that in mind, though,
I just want to say one thing. The only reason that story even came up was because of the Panthers PR person. If there was no sports angle,
it would not have been included in tonight's program.
It might have been mentioned at the top of the show, but it wouldn't have caused a whole stir if it wasn't for the Panthers PR.
Exactly. With that in mind, though, Nick, let's get to some more NFL news involving some stadiums. It was recently announced, and this was kind of a shock, But the Denver Broncos, led by the new Walter Penn family, will privately fund a brand new stadium to replace the current, I believe, Empowered Field at Mile High, I believe. A major victory for Denver, Colorado taxpayers who have historically footed the bill for projects including Coors Field and also for the new Mile High Stadium. While the Chicago Bears, in an open letter on Monday after the team blew the game versus Minnesota, have returned their focus back to the suburbs of Arlington Heights, Illinois, after evaluating other options in Chicago, including possibly renovating Soldier Field. And in Nick's neck of the woods, New York City FC of Major League Soccer has formally announced more plans for the new $780 million ETHAD Park, now under construction as well. Notably, the club is fully financing the project, and it will be the first ever pro soccer only venue in New York, set to open up in 2027. So, Nick, what is the trend, though, of some teams like Denver, like the Broncos and NYCFC, privately funding their new stadiums, say about the future of public financing for venues? But also, is it a sign, though, maybe in your mind, of changing power dynamics or a reflection of current economic climate? And will more teams follow this path or still seek public moolah remaining the norm, in your opinion?
Well, one thing I will say is I'm happy to see that teams are privately funding their stadiums.
It's a miracle!
Seriously. I'm tired of these billionaires, and you've heard me that you want to talk about soapbox, what I'm about to say, because I say this a lot. But billionaires needing taxpayer funding to build a stadium. A's Athletics, I'm talking to you because you're taking more public funding than I've ever seen from more than a lottery is taking to pay for a stadium.
A lot of it.
The Broncos one is not surprising because that's the Walmart family.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Correct.
So that they have more money than you and I will ever know in a lifetime. So if they're not privately funding their own stadium, I'd question that right off the bat. So I'm happy for the Denver taxpayers because that would have been ridiculous if the Walmart family fortune was not paying for the Broncos stadium. Now, the Bears situation has been a very public situation in the media.
It's been a very public thing, Nick, I believe, ever since Kevin Warren got the job as the new team president 2 years ago.
He's been terrible, just really bad at his job.
You're not telling Zan anything new,
or Grant or Michael, all our Chicago guys. That one's been a much more public battle.
Oh, a million times over.
And I think the reason that they're going to Arlington Heights is because they couldn't get funding anymore to
what's going on here? Give me a minute.
Oh boy. My point is, though, that I think the reason they're returning to focus on Arlington Heights is because the other project situation that they were dealing with, basic.
Okay, I have no idea what's going on, folks. I apologize for the technical difficulties.
I'm here.
Yeah. Goodness gracious.
My point is, I was trying to say, I think the reason they went to the Arlington Heights project, that the other place that they were looking to build on,
yes,
they were not able to get the funding that they needed. So that's why they went to that scenario, because they knew they were going to get the funding. Correct. If they went where they were. Now, I don't know if it's a better area. I couldn't tell you. I don't know.
I do know that part of the letter read that the governor's office had basically pushed back on the downtown site, and the Bears are getting a better deal apparently in Arlington Heights and the suburbs away from downtown Chicago. So they say.
I don't know. That one, I would say the Denver one and the Chicago one are two different, completely different situations because, like I said, the Walmart family is handling that. The NYCFC situation, they needed their own stadium.
Oh, I mean, them going between Yankee Stadium and Citi Field is just so damn confusing.
I think they were more at Yankee Stadium than they were at Citi Field. I
Yeah.
think, but they deserve a stadium. They won a title. They had first of all, did anyone have that on the board as the most recent title to be won in New York?
Not named the New York Liberty or anything else.
The Yankees, the Knicks, the Nets. I mean,
Jets and Giants,
Jets and Giants.
Rangers, Islanders.
Right. That who would have thought NYCFC was going to be the next title holder? But so let's see. They got 780 million, and then their first is going to be in 2027. That's definitely going to be taxpayer funded. I have a feeling.
Well,
They're not-
apparently, no. It says normally the club, notably NYCFC, is fully financing the project. It says
Oh,
club will fully finance the project set to open up in 2 years' time.
wow! A New York Stadium being fully funded. Who would have thought that? Um, but these all make total sense. The Bears one, you're gonna have to get in line because I don't know when that's ever going to be figured out, and
No,
that's a
and
political situation too.
yeah, that one is, and per what Kevin Warren wrote, apparently is that the Bears moved away from Soldier Field because for one, it's a historical landmark, like a U.S. landmark that they can't, I think, add the dome to the stadium or something along those lines. The renderings look beautiful though, with the dome stadium. They had like a giant sports complex, with like 2 baseball fields, 3 football fields. And then obviously something went wrong. I think it was actually that the governor's office said no, like no money from the state for the project. Like it'll have to be all taxpayer done or something along those lines though. And the main thing though they here, and you just probably, Nick, and the reason why I was like having like the tech glitch was I was trying to move my phone so I can drop the Substack link to the reasons why I left watching the NFL because of something along this line. The Bears going to Arlington Heights is still within the confines of Chicago, Illinois. The
Yes,
Chargers going from San Diego, my hometown of 31 years, to Los Angeles, California is not the same damn thing. So people can get that through their mind. If you need to, go read the 11-minute long story I wrote about why that I don't watch the NFL anymore because of what the ownership and the league did to me and my family and a lot of people who supported Charger football here for 56 years. It's all in the Substack. Go and read and subscribe if you'd like, because this is not the same thing of the Chargers going to LA. Because we're close on a map, it's not the same damn thing. The Bears going to Arlington Heights is the same thing as it's still within the confines of Chicago as a city and as a county in some way. But more importantly, Nick, and I've said this though too, about why all of a sudden are all these teams like, Cleveland and Chicago wanting big, new stadiums, because now they see you can bring events to your stadium year round when you put the dome on the stadium, a la the Super Bowl, the CFP, the national title game, the Final Four, WWE PLEs like WrestleMania when it doesn't go to Saudi Arabia in a few years. You can actually bring that in and actually get more revenue. Like I always say, where's your revenue away from the NFL if you're in a market like Chicago and you can't really host events in the wintertime because it's snowing? Who's going to go to a concert when it's snowing in Chicago at
what about the
Soldier Field?
Browns? The
Or even the Browns, or Cleveland, or Cincinnati, any other market where there's no dome stadium. And I also think, Nick, and I don't know if you can pull it up from our Slack channel, but I think I also shared a photo with you that said that there was a really like mind-boggling stat about how much public money has been poured in over, I think, the last 10 years to build a lot of these new stadiums, like in Minnesota for the Vikings, Chargers and the Rams, the Raiders, other new stadiums that have opened up. Though I think it's pretty deep in the channel because we've been sharing so much content in the Slack channel. But if you can pull it up, Nick, you can read it off though. But I think though that the Denver Broncos project becomes one of the first, other than SoFi, that is not going to tap into the public money domain where it's fully funded and financed by the ownership group and won't tap into the public money realm, where I think that all of a sudden now that half, if not 3/4 of the teams now in the NFL have all been in some way aided by public money. Nick, do you have that screen grab by chance?
Yeah, I can't find it at the moment. I'm gonna have to dig a little more. But my
I'll see
my
if I can pull it up.
I'll see if I can find it. But my point is, looking at this story and just realizing that how much money is involved in these stadium builds and the amount of taxpayer money that's involved, like getting your bang for your buck, and can the fans afford to go to the stadium?
Nick, here we go. I found it.
Oh, you found it?
All right. So the photo reads, this is remarkable. Over the last decade, so between 2015 and now, 9 NFL stadiums have been built slash are being built and have used 6.5 billion in public funding.
That's
That
ridiculous.
it's an average of 600 or it's an average of 726 million per stadium in both public funding and taxes. The Denver Broncos Walter Penner ownership group is privately funding the entire project for the Denver Broncos, meaning that no new taxes and saving Denver residents nearly $1 billion. Fantastic ownership move. So how about that, Nick? 9 new stadiums have been or are being built and have used over 6.5 billion in public money for the NFL.
It's a lot. I mean, again, the NFL owners are some of the richest owners when it comes to professional sports. You would think they'd be able to fund their own stadiums if they want new stadiums, and they want these they want these technologically advanced stadiums. Look at Steve Ballmer, and make sure you stay with us a little bit later when we get to a story about him. By the way, he's like the 5th or 6th richest person in the world.
And look at the $2 billion thing he built out of his pocket at Intuit Dome. Place is beautiful.
I mean, go ask Jerry Jones about the new stadium in Dallas. I mean,
AT&T Stadium.
and how many times?
Ask the Kroenke or ask Stan about SoFi Stadium for the Rams and not the Chargers.
I mean, how many times have the punters in Dallas hit the scoreboard because it's so big for the amount of money they spent? Of course, they couldn't get the sun angle right, so the sun keeps coming in the wrong way.
Yep.
But there's too much public funding spent on stadiums.
It's
too
ridiculous. Nick, in college athletics, a startling development. It went from 3 to 13 players, and now 6 different schools are in hot water as the NCAA sports betting investigation for men's basketball has now expanded. The enforcement staff of the NC2A is now alleging that sports betting violations against 13 men's basketball players from 6 different universities, including Eastern Michigan, Temple, Arizona State, New Orleans, UNC A&T, and Jerry Rice's alma mater, Mississippi Valley State University, has all come to the limelight, coming on the heels of a recent announcement made of the permanent expulsion and ban of 3 other players from both Fresno State and San Jose State University. The allegations include players betting against their own teams, sharing insider information for betting purposes, and even manipulating game outcomes to win some money. The NCAA further says it became aware of the unusual betting activities through its integrity monitoring program and also substantiated claims with evidence from text message threads and social media. The schools and their staff have not been implicated, though, in any wrongdoing. So, Nick, this becomes probably, I'd say, the first major serious gambling allegation scandal since the expansion of legal sports betting across the country. Nick, is the NC2A's zero tolerance approach the right one, or is it too harsh given the prevalence of betting in sports culture? But with the rise, though, of legalized gambling, how will the NCAA realistically enforce these rules, and what kind of support, if any, should they be providing to kids to stop this from happening? It's simple, Nick. They have to watch a PSA every year. Don't bet on it.
Yeah, I mean, this is a no-brainer. If the rules say don't gamble, don't gamble. It's really that simple.
It's not that difficult.
But Nick, it's complicated. No, it's not complicated. If the rules state for the NCAA that you can't bet, first of all, and I really shouldn't have to say this, you can't bet on yourself. I shouldn't have to say that. I really shouldn't. Has anyone learned from the Pete Rose situation, by the way, at all in baseball, that eventually you're going to get caught if you were betting on yourself or betting on your own team?
Yeah, but he's able to be put into the Hall of Fame finally now that he's gone.
Screw you, Rob Manfred. Anyway, my point is we actually covered this on ETB Sports as well. And the original story, when it came out, like that these guys were betting on themselves and they were making parlays and I'm just trying to find the story because it
More
was
importantly, let me call a quick timeout here, Nick.
yeah.
The initial story, by the way, was 3 players of Fresno State and San Jose State.
Yeah.
Those, those schools until next year, Nick, they're in the same flipping conference. What
Yep.
are you guys doing?
I didn't say they were the
Betting
brightest
for or
bulbs.
betting against, or betting for in some way you're betting for a rival school in your conference? What are you
Ye-
thinking?
We didn't say that some of these guys were the brightest bulbs in the box. I mean, I have the story here that we use. So
Yes.
the NCAA ruled that Fresno State forward Mikael Robinson, San Jose State guard Steven Vasquez, and Fresno State guard Jalen Weaver are permanently ineligible. Let me say that again. Permanently ineligible due to gambling violations and are no longer enrolled at their schools.
And are not allowed to play the sport anymore either because of what they just did.
Permanently ineligible. Keep
So
that in
long,
mind.
suckers.
So I'm going to read you part of this story because Zan and I, when we were going through this story, like we started laughing partially because of how unidiot proof this was.
Oh boy.
So Robinson and Vasquez, I think those are the teammates, right? Or no?
Yes.
No. Robinson and Weaver are the teammates.
Yeah, they
But-
played at Fresno State.
But Robinson and Vasquez, who were teammates at Fresno State during the 23-24 season, conspired to wager on Robinson to underperform during a January 7, 2025 game between Fresno State and Colorado State.
Wow.
Wait, it gets even stranger.
But wait, there's
more. 3 prop bets. Now we're crossing into a different territory.
This is dangerous territory now, yes.
Because this is not just betting, which sometimes you get away with. This is prop betting. So now you're getting into people's stats. 3 prop bets totaling $2,200
Holy shit.
were placed on the under on Robinson's statistics. Now, I'm going to ask you a question, and everybody out there is listening. What's the problem with betting an under on somebody?
They intentionally throw the game.
They intentionally don't play well. Betting the over, think about it. When you bet the over, you actually have to play
Yes.
to get the numbers. On the under, you literally can throw the game.
Yeah.
Or not even throw the game. The person playing could unintentionally just not get to the number. So,
Javante Porter.
oh God. It says but here's the interesting thing. The bets were flagged by a Nevada sportsbook operator, like they have been in the NHL, which you've dealt with the NFL, which we dealt with. So it says that the Nevada sportsbook operator flagged it. The bet won a net $15,950.
Oh my gosh.
Because I don't think you can legally flag a bet until it's played through. So, because you can't stop a bet technically once it's
put out, you can't stop it.
Unless there's like a real legal issue and they have to pull it for whatever reason. That would be rare.
Where the red flag, like we said though, where the red flag gets raised by one of these groups who then calls the league or calls whoever, saying, "Hey, we got something on our hands here."
But the problem is, how do they know that? How do they know the account belongs to an athlete? That's the
$1 million thing.
That's the process. How I don't understand how they figure those out.
Oh, I'm sure they have. I'm sure, Nick, they've got some savvy tech gurus and cybersecurity master degree holders who can find out who actually has the account.
It also says here one of the bets was placed by Vasquez and a sports book trader. Whatever that means. I don't know exactly what that means. That's according to the NCAA.
What in the name of Wall Street's going on here?
So, Wolf of Wall Street. During the game, Robertson altered his performance with 3 points scored, 2 rebounds, and 1 3-pointer, and no assists to ensure the underlying bets won.
For $15K.
Almost $16K.
Holy Toledo.
Now, you're going to find this even more insane. Robinson also placed 14 prop bets on daily fantasy sites. You know this all too well about daily fantasy sites, Underdog.
Yes.
From December 11th, 2024 through January 11th, 2025.
So basically almost the entire conference schedule for basketball.
Yeah. And it says the NCAA investigation also discovered that Robinson and Weaver, who were teammates at Fresno State, which you said, discussed the betting lines on each other's statistics and placed bets on and placed bets on themselves and each other in select games. Weaver, who cooperated, he's the only one that cooperated, by the way.
Wow.
Weaver, who cooperated with the investigation, also placed a $50 parlay bet on himself. It says Robinson and a third student athlete won $260 off that bet. I mean, let me see. Robinson declined to comment when reached by ESPN. Efforts to reach Vasquez were unsuccessful. Robinson last played for Fresno State on January 11th against Nevada.
And then I think they were pulled. And I think they were pulled off the roster for the remainder of the year because of the investigation.
But this is interesting. It says Vasquez graduated from San Jose State in May.
Wow.
The NCAA said that Robinson and Vasquez did not cooperate in its investigation. Fresno State told ESPN in a statement that it cooperated the NCAA throughout the investigation and did not receive any sanctions from the case. How?
And more importantly, Nick, this is just going to add this opens up another fresh can of worms. I mean, now that we have 13 more players from 6 different universities now being linked in some way to this ordeal out west. So Eastern Michigan, Temple, ASU, New Orleans, North Carolina A&T, and Mississippi Valley all now have something going on now that is tied maybe directly, indirectly, or some scheme going on between these players in some way.
Can I read one more also? Because this is going to make you laugh also. Weaver said he risked $50 that he would score more than 11 points on a fantasy site. And you're going to laugh at this because we used this for fantasy last year. Sleeper.
Oh, my gosh.
To score more than 11 points, he scored 13.
Wow.
So at least he didn't dog the game, at least. But
yeah, but still, I mean,
this whole thing is a nightmare. And you know what it is? I don't understand. Like back in the day when there was no NIL money and all that stuff, like people sometimes did dumb things because they weren't making any money. But
and now it's like, come on, guys, you got like the world on a silver platter now. You don't have to resort to stuff like this anymore.
You have the NILs. Most of those guys, as long as you're a semi-decent athlete, you're going to get an NIL deal. I mean, again, let me be careful because I'm not reaching into people's pockets because I wouldn't want people doing that to me. But my point is, if you're an average to semi-good athlete, you're going to get an NIL deal of some sort now when you enter college sports. There's no need to illegally gamble. There just is not. You want to be a professional athlete. You can't do anything to tarnish your own reputation.
Precisely.
At all. And this is tarnishing reputation. You're permanently ineligible.
Nick, stupid question before we move on to our next topic about the NBA.
Yeah.
Do you believe that the NCAA would ever consider not hosting events like conference basketball tournaments or the CFP in Vegas because of the gambling nature, or is that just tone deaf?
That's a good question.
Because there's numerous Western-based conferences that have their conference tournaments for basketball in Vegas. The Mountain West, for example, the Pac-12, the West Coast Conference, the Big West. Talk of Allegiant getting the CFP, I think, in a couple of years. Another Super Bowl is going to go back there pretty soon, too.
That's a really good question, actually.
I doubt it, but I just kind of, just thinking now all of a sudden about this explosion now of this story, who's not to say, though, that other stuff has happened in Vegas during March Madness for conference basketball
See,
tournaments.
here's the issue. You couldn't host college tournaments in Vegas way back when because you couldn't gamble on college sports for many, many decades.
And now here we are.
And people would have to go to the mob if they wanted to bet on that stuff, or what do they call that? Underground betting.
Yep.
Which is not safe, and I recommend you don't do that. But now you're kind of in a slippery slope because you have NIL deals, you have all this money out there, you have the sports betting companies now offering even more things than they once did before. And it's putting a lot of pressure on these college athletes to perform.
Yeah.
And the problem is they're kind of a little too close to the gamblers now.
Yeah.
Because
and I also think that the NCAA did a pretty good, but needs to be a better job about the PSAs about wagering for the fans from March Madness last season. I think to your point though, about you said though about how gamblers are getting like kind of in these kids' ears now all of a sudden, where that was really usually not the case. But still, I mean, I thought it was like just a hypothetical about the lineage and stuff of that nature.
well, and I'm trying to be careful because I'm going to talk about something at the end of the hour, which we're going to be working on soon,
Yes.
actually. But I would be we would all be more careful when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah.
But my point is, the gamblers have a little too much access than they once did.
Agreed.
Because even in the pro ranks, the gamblers were not allowed to be near everybody. Now every professional athlete is near gambling stuff, or they have a deal with DraftKings or FanDuel or Underdog or BetMGM, which is a huge one for the
Massive.
league. Look at the NFL. Every other commercial is DraftKings or FanDuel or
BetMGM, whoever, yeah.
So part of this is the league's fault because they're so in bed with the gambling companies. But there needs to be a happy medium. Hey, gambling is part of life. So, and I can say the same thing about drinking. That's part of life. But there has to be regulation, and there has to be stricter regulation when it comes to younger athletes and what they're allowed to do. Now, you notice that there's no NIL deals for gambling companies.
I wonder why.
That's my point. Same thing with alcohol. You're not seeing that. You're never going to see any vices become NIL deals in college sports because that just sends the wrong message.
Yeah, without a doubt.
But in professional leagues, because you've already made it, they don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
You see Budweiser is like the biggest partner the NFL has. So
yeah, without a doubt. Nick, to the NBA, Nick, a couple of dueling threat of scandals across the association. That, of course, Nick, begins, though, with the very tone-deaf remarks made by Commissioner Adam Beaker-Silver on Wednesday after the Board of Governors meeting concluded, where his comments, though, Nick, have sparked some backlash among NBA fans after addressing the rising cost of watching NBA games as the new 11-year, $76 billion TV deal kicks into place this year, where Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, said the sport is very much a highlights-based sport. The comment made by the commissioner's office has been criticized as tone-deaf as the league begins a record-breaking media right deal for the upcoming season. More importantly, Nick, the other hot commodity in the NBA is the ongoing investigation into the LA Clippers over an alleged $28 million no-show endorsement for forward and center Kawhi Leonard, which has now, Nick, been deepened as of Wednesday. New reports indicate that Leonard's agent and uncle, Dennis Robertson, better known as Uncle Dennis, made a similar demand to the Toronto Raptors as early as the 2019 title-winning season, including a request for a ownership stake in the NHL's Toronto Maple Leafs for Kawhi Leonard. On top, Nick, of other things, though, that he demanded that he was also demanding in his free agency pitch, including a private jet from the Lakers if Kawhi chose to go to the Lakers in that free agency season. These new reports, though, Nick, could provide the NBA with a pattern of behavior to strengthen its case against either Kawhi or the Clippers about circumventing the NBA salary cap and breaching Article 13 of the NBA's CBA. So, Nick, given the fact of Adam Silver's comments, is the NBA now taking their fan base for granted But also, the deepening allegations against Kawhi Leonard in the saga tell us about the lengths some teams are and player reps will go to bypass league rules. Let's first, though, Nick, hear from Mr. Commissioner Adam Silver about why he thinks the NBA is a highlights only league now in 2025-26.
Amount of our content that people can essentially consume for free. I mean, this is very much a highlights-based sport. So Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, you name it, any service, the New York Times for that matter, to the extent that your content is not behind a paid firewall. There's an enormous amount of content out there. YouTube, by another example, that is advertising based that consumers can consume.
Are you kidding me?
I was just going to say, Nick, that we have probably two of the biggest NBA fans on this show between you and myself, though I mainly watch the sport because I dropped my fandom of the Lakers after the Dodgers bought them, and I don't like LA sports. I have a soft spot, though, for the Clippers and the Rockets because they both played here before I was alive, and more importantly, they still reach out and honor their time in San Diego, unlike the Chargers. At the end, though, Nick, of the day, what commissioner would ever say that their product is a highlights-based sport? On top of the fact, Nick, that we've talked about this. The simple fact, though, Nick, and I'm actually writing about this too on the Mr. Small Market Substack, about how the NBA now all of a sudden is copycatting the NFL model. We're almost in a way, Nick, local TV doesn't mean a damn thing now coming up starting this season because now, Nick, we have it laid out. You need to have Prime Video, ESPN, ABC, NBC, and Peacock, and NBA TV to watch the NBA coming up starting this season. On top of the fact, Nick, that more and more teams, and thankfully the NBA got this part right, more NBA teams can now, I think, play a maximum of, I believe, 15 games on a local affiliate station, like the Clippers playing on KTLA or on KUSI Channel 9 in San Diego. But Nick, what commissioner out there would ever call his or her league, a highlights-based sport? I, Nick, have loved and respected Adam Silver, but the last couple of years, though, that love and respect is beginning to fade and erode away as the last couple years have gone on, though. The only thing he's gotten right was forcing Donald Sterling out of owning the Clippers, and that's probably about it over the last several years.
Him and the Suns owner, too.
Oh, Robert Sarver.
Because both those guys were human pieces of trash, to be quite honest. But I just wanted to, because you were asking about the schedule, you're talking about this, where
Yes.
basically every day of the week is now a national game in the NBA.
Who does that remind you of?
I think you and I were talking about this a week ago, actually. And I said to you, the NBA is turning into the NFL, huh?
Yes.
And now it's a little different because the NBA is played more as a daily sport than it is as the NFL is more of a weekly model of sport. So the NBA is kind of stealing, well, not kind of, they are stealing the NFL model, but kind of juicing it up on steroids. And
Great.
think about this schedule now. There's really no need for local affiliation anymore in the NBA model. And the other thing that's happening too, and let me just drop this out of here. But my point is that the way this is running, what do you need a Yes Network where I am to watch net
Spectrum
games?
Sportsnet, FanDuel Sports SoCal.
MSG for Knicks
MSG.
fans. And even though I think
NBC Sports California and Bay Area.
Even though I think Jim Dolan is the biggest hothead of all time when it comes to NBA, well, and NHL owners too, but he was the one that kept fighting. I think he was one of all the owners when the vote came out.
He was the only no vote about the new NBA media right deal.
Now, does the NBA benefit from this model? Yeah, they do.
They do.
because they're now going to be seen in more households because there is more national channels that are available to everybody than there is for the locale audience.
And there's more people who've cut the cable.
That too. I mean, I have YouTube TV, but I didn't cut just for the sake of cutting. I was getting done with Cablevision and Optimum. They were just a nightmare. But, and by the way, that's James Dolan, just for irony's sake. But when you look at the national schedule, this is the reality. And the reason that MLB is becoming a dinosaur and they're falling rapidly down the list is because they're trying too hard to save the local model. The local model is broken. I hate to say it, but the local model is broken. It does not work.
Especially when you have teams like the Padres, for example, who play their games on the Padres.TV presented by UC San Diego Health Station because they don't have the regional network anymore because FanDuel Sports San Diego went underground in 2023.
It's not even just that. Like you're seeing the FanDuel stations go under by themselves, or not FanDuel, the Bally's stations.
Yeah,
go
Bally's
under.
and now FanDuel Sports, yeah.
Right, which are going under because they can't afford the amount of revenue necessary from commercials and other revenue to stay above water.
Yep.
So that's why you're seeing, like you just saw in that schedule, ABC, NBC. By the way,
Prime.
NBC, I want to point out something. So Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, except for one game on ABC, because I think they only get one game on that Sunday. Sunday through Tuesday is all NBC property for the NBA.
Basketball.
Which, don't get me wrong, I love the old-fashioned NBA on NBC, and you and I are going to have a field day when it comes back, including opening night on Tuesday, October 21st. But think about that for a second. Sunday through Tuesday, all you're going to see is NBA on NBC, except for one ABC game. Then you travel to Wednesday. Okay, that's exclusively an ESPN day. So
always has been, always will be.
So you're going to get a two-game doubleheader, maybe three, depending on the night.
I know Nick's going to hate Coast to Coast Tuesdays for NBC.
Oh, well, because they have a game starting at 11 p.m. Eastern. But I'm a night guy anyway, so I don't care. And then Thursday through Saturday, Prime. That's the one that's going to be tough to get used to.
Including the NBA Cup as well from start to finish in November and through December.
Well, put that one aside for a second because that's a different thing. But think about from a TV watching experience.
Jeez.
Having to remember from Thursday all the way through Saturday that all the NBA games are going to be on Prime. Think about that. That's not normal TV watching habits.
Right.
And then Friday and Saturday. So Friday you have an ESPN and Saturday you have an ABC. Again, that's pretty normal for ESPN and ABC. But the watching habits are changing. And the local stuff is going to be a goner in the next couple of years. Unless you're in New York or LA or Chicago, Philadelphia, which have major markets that love to watch their local TV.
Yes.
Think about the smaller markets. Mr. Small Market himself.
That'd be me.
But you already see it with your Padres. They technically don't have a home. Technically.
No. Them, the Diamondbacks, the Rockies, the Reds, the Guardians, the Mariners, in a way.
And the Rockies don't help themselves already because they don't even spend the money that they're supposed to spend.
106 losses.
So my prediction is in the next 5 years, you're going to see this model for the NBA and the NFL hit MLB at some point.
I agree.
Because how does baseball stay afloat? How do the teams make money? Because remember, when you're part of a national deal, you get the kickback from having your teams being on the national platforms. But the one that's going to suffer, and I know this about you 100%, excuse me, is you're not going to have the local guys who know your team inside and out. Back in the day when local was 120 games out of 162 games.
Yep.
Now it's the opposite. They flipped it
Now
in
it's
a
the full
sense.
season. Yeah.
But I'm saying instead of it being 120 and 42, it's now the other way. It's like 40 local games and 120 plus national games now.
Yeah.
So you can't win.
Yeah. No one can win. Nick, top of the hour though, but let's get to part two though of that question though. Again, this Kawhi Leonard thing, man, has just grown a new set of legs after the initial report put out by Pablo Torre. Steve Ballmer even had to go on ESPN SportsCenter to say, "Hey, I was conned by the whole thing," and so on and so forth. Nick, but what do you think though? The deepening allegations and the Kawhi Leonard saga tell us about the links that some teams, and more importantly, Nick, that player reps will go to bypass league rules. Like again, like the allegation right now is that the Clippers circumvented or basically bypassed the salary cap with the contract given to Kawhi Leonard when he came to the Clippers from Toronto.
Oh, this is clearly cap circumvention. It's
I don't
not
see
even
how it's not.
now. I don't know if you saw the interview that because Mark Cuban essentially was team bomber
Yeah.
and was defending Steve when I don't even know if they're actually real friends, to be quite honest. But
Never know.
I watched the interview that he did with Pablo, and he was trying to say that basically that it's business and all that stuff. First of all, for people who don't know the full true story, it was a cultural tree company called Aspiration was the
Yes.
name of the company. And apparently Kawhi signed a 4-year, $28 million endorsement, but it's what they call a no-show deal, which means he can say what parts and stuff he wants to do, but he continues to get paid regardless if it doesn't work. Now, that sounds like cap circumvention, meaning that you're paying him off book, essentially. That way you don't lose the money on your salary cap. Now, Uncle Dennis has a reputation of being a greedy pig and
Yeah.
asking for the world.
Yeah, it was like I said that there were reports when Kawhi was a free agent that he had a list of demands, like he wanted like a charter jet for Kawhi and him. There was also talk that they wanted like a rental car at every airport that they went to on the road.
The
I think there was,
Toronto one is nuts.
and I think there was also a demand when Kawhi came to the Clippers that he was allowed to still live in San Diego and be late for flights out of LAX with the team.
That sounds like a drama queen, not someone who wants to be part of. He's the king of getting paid and not playing many games. You notice that, right?
Yep.
I mean, he's missed more games than any NBA player has in like the last 4 to 5 years, but he
Yep.
gets paid all his money. I mean, I'm reading, and this goes exactly with what I was reading, that Uncle Dennis made similar demands to the Raptors in 2019, including a request for an ownership stake in the Maple Leafs.
Yes.
Now, I have to read up more on the rules. I don't know if that's legally allowed,
I don't think so.
or is it that you legally can't give ownership to someone on your own team? I think
One
that
of the two. By the way, Nick, just by the way, I wanted to add a bit of some depth for those who don't know. The last time that an NBA team circumvented the salary cap was 25 years ago.
the
when the
Trailblazers.
No, the Minnesota Timberwolves did this by making a secret agreement with Joe Smith to give him a short-term, below-market deal in exchange for a larger, lucrative term contract later, which was designed to allow the team to retain him for a fourth year despite the cap and earn his bird rights, which again was named after Larry Bird. The discovery of the blatant rule breaking led to a record $3.5 million fine, voided contracts, and a year-long suspension for Wolves owner Glenn Taylor, and also GM Kevin McHale in a forfeiture of 5 first-round draft picks for the Wolves as well. And for those who don't know, by the way, the bird rights named for Larry Bird are a set of expectations to the NBA salary cap, allowing a team to re-sign its own veteran players, even if doing so would put them over the salary cap, named in honor of Larry Bird, who of course played all those years with the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, so I kind of look back on that deal. I kind of did some search on it. That was definitely cap circumvention.
That is, I mean, like I said, it was blatant right there, as they said.
obviously they didn't do a good job of hiding it at the time, and like you said, it cost them $3.5 million, which back then was a lot. Now it's not. 5 first round draft picks. That's a lot. That's a lot. Um, and then Glenn Taylor and Kevin McHale getting suspended. Why can't we just play by the rules?
Come on, man. It's not that hard.
It's really not that hard.
I mean,
And
I mean, Nick, if anything, all this kind of does is just kind of add to like the curse of the Clippers in a way. I mean, that may be a stretch though, but Nick, the track record of this organization dating back to Buffalo, coming to San Diego, moving to LA, always being in the shadow of the Lakers. And easily they've been in their most successful era in franchise history when Lob City debuted. But also, Bob McAdoo was with the team. Bill Walton had a bad foot when he was here. Think of Michael Oliver Candy and Benoit Benjamin and Blake Griffin, Sean Livingston, all those, saviors of the team who, again, always had the broken kneecaps or weren't able to fully play for the organization in some way, shape, form, or size. And yet, though, they actually get a new owner in Steve Ballmer, who kept the team in LA, invested in the product, made them what they kind of are nowadays, built that beautiful palace in Inglewood for $2.2 billion out of his own pocket called Intuit Dome, and that they have been, a consistent winner. It hasn't resulted in a championship, much like the Padres, Nick. It hasn't resulted in a championship, but I think though it also, in a way, goes to like the business side. It goes to merchandise sales. I know that it's, well, County, you always say that merchandise sales won't win you games. They don't, but it still though is in a way something though that gives Clipper fans something to be proud of with what they have been building in some way. Though they've got the oldest roster in the entire NBA coming up for the season though, but at the end of the day though, Nick, still this is just the Clippers being the Clippers. Sadly, and this in a way, Nick, it's not going to force Ballmer out of owning the club though, but is probably going to set them back though for the next 5 years at this rate.
I don't know. You could put Paul George on that list as well with his injury before eventually ending up with the 76ers. But
Yeah.
I don't know. This team, you would think that Steve Ballmer wouldn't have to circumvent the salary cap, being the 5th or 6th richest person in the world. I mean, you're an idiot for signing Kawhi Leonard knowing that he sits out more games than he plays. I don't know why anyone took a chance on Kawhi Leonard again.
I think the Clippers mainly did it for one to show that they can compete with the Lakers finally after all these years for one thing, which is the internal. You would know from next the Nets and Knicks playing all themselves playing each other all these years all these years about like city pride and bragging rights. But I think more importantly, Ballmer wanted to say that this is like a new era for this laughing stock franchise, and in a way, it kind of got them somewhere, though it didn't result in a ring.
But this whole thing is crazy. Like his uncle Dennis asking for lavish stuff, like ownership of the Toronto Maple Leafs. I mean, I don't know.
It's one of those like, who the hell are you, basically?
Yeah, and I don't know. If I was in the NBA right now, if I was a owner or a GM, I'd be staying far, far away from Kawhi Leonard. Like,
agreed.
Because he just doesn't stay healthy. He's not out there enough to compete. He's awkward in the media too. Every time,
No, I mean, sadly, he was that way too when he was in college here at San Diego State playing for Steve Fisher.
But he was just awkward. He doesn't know how to handle the media. He doesn't know how to handle winning, even though he was with the Spurs and he won the title with Toronto. Like everyone says, but Nick, he hit the game-winning shot.
Yeah, that was in the conference semifinals over the Sixers.
And I'm like, okay. And it was a little lucky that the shot went in. Was that the shot that hit and went all the way?
It ping ponged, bounced around the rim like 30 times, and then it finally went in.
That it felt like 5 minutes the ball sat up there. Like,
I mean, that was him going out of bounds, firing up the shot. And if he doesn't make it, the game goes to overtime.
By the way, I hate when stars go to a team, like they get traded to a team when you clearly know they were never going back there. Like, he went to Toronto, they won. To be honest, he probably should have gone back to Toronto.
Agreed.
And helped the franchise considering they won. But of course, but I live in LA. I got to go back to LA.
Same with Paul George because he went to Fresno State.
But This story's nuts. I think Pablo Torre was 100% on the money on this story, and people don't like the fact that he's got better news sources than everybody else out there. But this is what Pablo Torre finds out is like that's if you need a good podcast, besides watching this one, by the way,
Uh-huh.
go watch that one. That one is incredible. He's done amazing things that I've never seen in this space. He's breaking stories that I couldn't even believe. And I don't know if you saw when he was on the Dan Patrick show that he kind of over teased that he thinks something is going down with the Jalen Brunson contract.
Interesting.
Would you put that past James Dolan to circumvent the cap?
No, yes.
So this is an interesting story. We're gonna have to follow this one for a while because I don't think this story is done. And Boston, I forgot which paper it was. Boston University. I don't know. I have to look it up. But Pablo said apparently it's more than 28 million. That a report confirmed it, and apparently they're saying it's close to 50 million.
Holy cow.
Now, Steve Ballmer, to connect the dots, invested $50 million into Aspiration.
Yeah. And then the company went bankrupt, they're saying. So,
But, $48 million. He invested $50 million. Coincidence?
I think not.
So just keep that in mind that there's a smoking gun involved.
Yeah. We'll see how this plays out and what the consequences might be for the Clippers and for Kawhi Leonard, and for that matter, Steve Ballmer. Nick, probably in some great media news, reports have indicated now that Steelers quarterback Aaron Rodgers will no longer make his weekly appearances on the Pat McAfee Show. The segment, which had become a staple of the show, has been a source of numerous controversies with the current quarterback and distractions from Aaron's commentary on COVID-19 to his public feud with late night host Jimmy Kimmel. Aaron's on-air presence often overshadowed his on-field play and created a headache for his team's front office. Nick, this is a very weird question to be asked here, but why would a player in a show that had a successful, profitable partnership end it? But is this a sign, though, that players are becoming more aware of how their outside ventures can be a distraction for their teams? All I have to say is one word: hallelujah.
I don't think this has anything to do with Aaron Rodgers' outside ventures. This is the Steelers. If you remember when he signed with the Steelers, excuse me, that Mike Tomlin came out and basically said, I don't need this nonsense. I don't want my team on a microscope every single week like he was with the
Precisely.
Jets. And I think he kept his word on that one. I think. And I don't know for sure. I can't confirm that, but I think that's partially what happened. And I think Aaron's finally realizing, all right, I got to stop being a laughingstock and going on Pat McAfee with conspiracy theories about COVID vaccine shots, and maybe go focus on the NFL and win a title. Which I still don't think he's going to do with Pittsburgh. But he totally embarrassed my Jets. Just saying. What was the question? Why would a player in a show that had successful profitable partnerships? It has nothing to do with that.
No, it doesn't. It was just a thing that McAfee wanted to do with Rodgers. But more importantly, again, Nick, is it a sign that players are becoming more aware of how their outside ventures like this can be a distraction? Again, Nick, Steelers, legendary franchise, no nonsense organization. They've had what, 3 head coaches in their franchise history? Come on,
God.
They stand for something bigger than, sadly, the New York Jets go fight win being the laughingstock of the NFL.
I mean, what is it? 2 coaches in the last 40 years? I mean, like,
yeah, what was it? Chuck Knox or Chuck Nolan, then Cowher, and now Tomlin. Yeah,
Chuck Nolan, Tomlin. I mean, like,
Bill Cowher too. So those 3.
So, yeah, this has nothing to do with partnerships or anything outside, because Aaron, I don't think really has much outside of that. But I'm kind of glad it's over, to be honest.
Hallelujah.
And by the way, McAfee has plenty of other stuff. Like, he's now doing a daily spot with Matt Rule every week during the college football season, which is great because Matt Rule has a new podcast now. But he's got plenty of other. He has Nick Saban on. I'm trying to think who else he has. But he's had plenty of guys. I don't think he's hurting for content.
Nah, I doubt it. I mean, if anything, Nick, it probably just like I said, though, it goes to the point that the Steelers want a no nonsense. Like Mike Thompson said, I don't want distractions. Again, I don't think the Rooney family would stand to have their starting quarterback go on a national outlet that is now owned by the NFL and ESPN and spew BS about politics, COVID. I don't like Jimmy Kimmel, who works for ABC, who was owned by ESPN. I'm sure they probably said, "Okay, you sign. You got to give up this. You have to stop with this crap off the field and stop in a way like embarrassing the organization that you're now playing for."
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Aaron did way too much talking over the last couple of years and not enough winning, and that's kind of what's hurting his reputation. And he's paying for it now, partially because he has nothing to show for it. Now, obviously, he had a season-ending injury last year, so that didn't help his case.
He had more time on his hands to do it.
So he was an annoying piece of shit. Sorry, of on Pat McAfee's show, but that's Aaron Rodgers for you too. He doesn't care if you. I don't know if you saw any of the post conference like as clips on Twitter, but he basically said, "I just beat everybody in the Jets organization." That's how he said it.
Mm-hmm.
Not that he won. Not that the Steelers won.
I did it.
I beat everyone in the Steelers in the Jets organization.
You know who that sounds like?
Yes. Like,
Who do you think I'm going to say?
oh, actually, you could say a few. Who are you going to say?
Juan Soto.
Oh, well, Juan Soto. Yeah, that's a given.
I think back to the homer he hit against Cleveland last year, and he looks at the dugout like, "Did you see what I just did?"
Well, that's a lot of players when they get fired up. Sometimes when they hit a clutch home run. But
for me, though, it was different because that's the Yankee uniform you're doing that in.
oh well, yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yes, I'm all for that, but at the end, but also remember who you're playing for too. I know my ball club's done that for 5 years, and you don't have any rings. What do you know about celebrating? It's called having passion for the game. But at the end of the day, when you play for the Yankees organization, you're held to a higher standard.
I mean, 27 rings.
There you go.
You would think you would play. You would honor the integrity of the organization.
Nick, you ready to talk about your girl Angel Reese as we get into press clippings?
I guess.
Two-parter for Angel Reese. The first one, though, is some good news in a way. But Chicago Sky center Angel Reese has joined the Together ownership group, a company co-founded by other prominent female athletes, including recently retired Alex Morgan and U.S. snowboarding champion Chloe Kim. And this is a major move that gives Reese a stake in a media corporation that amplifies women's voices and content. But of course, Nick, without the merit, though, the fact that Angel Reese, during a recent pregame or postgame media availability session,
Post-game.
Yeah. Absolutely shredded the Chicago Sky organization and called out teammates, called out the head coach, called out the ownership. Where again, Nick, I said this in Slack, and I said this, I think, too, last week. Players who have gone to play in Chicago. Okay, I will play the last line of defense for Angel on this one here, because this is not just an Angel Reese problem, Nick, with this particular subject I'm talking about here. This has been a Chicago Sky organizational problem since day one when they were founded, I think, back in 2008, where so many players, Nick, who have gone to that organization. And this came out with Rachel Demita, who are trying to get onto the program, in another women's sports TikTok account I followed. The mass exodus of WNBA star players, Hall of Famers, multiple-time champions or champions in general, Nick, the laundry list is looking like a CVS pharmacy receipt of every big-name player who has gone in some way to that organization and has been disgruntled about their time. The one TikTok I shared with you, Nick, it talked about Elena Deladon, Cappy Pondexter, Gabby Williams, Candace Parker, Sylvia Fowles, who was just put into the Hall of Fame, that there's some weird disconnect going on between the players and the ownership. I don't know what the deal is, Nick, but that is the defense I will give Angel for this particular thing. I know you can brush it off. I agree. but that there's been a cultural divide in some way between the locker room and the in upper brass in the front office. At the end of the day, though, Nick, as a former athlete on this platform like yourself, you do not go and air grievances or dirty laundry like it's the grievance holiday near Christmas to the local and national media after a game, and you name drop teammates like, again, a former teammate of yours at LSU and Haley Van Lith, along with the head coach, a WNBA champion, and Courtney Vanderson, who's been out with a bad ACL. You don't go out there and start burning bridges and and name calling and pulling a stunt like that to the entire, or and basically again throw the whole organization under the damn bus because of your second bad season. Nick, I mean, I know this is about the ownership stake though of Together. To take this off your plate. Stop worrying about off the court ventures. Your team was the first team knocked out of the playoff running, and you've lost over 30 games. You got suspended for a half of a game because of the commentary that was made. The Chicago Sky had to put a statement out that basically said, "We will not tolerate this nonsense." And she got suspended, Nick. The old college route, you're out for the first half of the game, but it didn't matter.
She
Her
ended up
back,
not playing the whole game
back,
anyway.
but because of her back, she wasn't playing.
So was it really a punishment then?
It wasn't much of a punishment. It was like in a way like, oh, we're going to do this. Nick, this is a circus that I wish would like finally stop.
Oh, it's never going to stop.
I know it won't, because I do think Angel has something to give the game. If someone would get in her ear and like tell her to focus on the game and not about Together or the podcast or the branding. I get it. I know about making your money because you're in the WNBA right now. But Nick, again,
well,
this is just being so mishandled again by Angel Reese. I'm sorry.
There's something. And by the way, I don't know how I came across it, but I think the Sky played a game tonight, right? And she sat out.
Yeah, today was the last day of the regular season.
So there's a report circulating that she refused to play in the game.
Does that go along the lines, Nick, of the ETB of blocking ETB, a route of conceding defeat because of what she said in the media last week?
I think she's kind of proving my point if that's the case of refusing to play a game.
Or is it the other way of like a player holding out for a contract deal because she said, I may have to observe my future and look elsewhere if shit doesn't improve, as she said in the media last Wednesday?
This is Draymond Green. Remember I said that.
So this is more Draymond Green than Sophie Cunningham, all of a sudden, in your mind.
Yeah, because Draymond Green. Now, let me preface it with a couple of points. Draymond Green won 3 titles with Golden State. He was definitely a big part. Steph Curry will always be the leader when we look back at those teams.
Steph, Clay, Draymond.
And Draymond. But at least, even when Draymond was getting suspended for the dirty hits and would say a lot of horrible things, he was still a big part of those winning teams.
Correct.
If it wasn't for Draymond and the tough defense down low, they don't win those titles.
I mean, come on. Draymond would not go the routes, though, of calling out a player for their age and their injury and then saying that a former college teammate is not good enough to be on a championship-winning team. Like, who the hell says that? I'm sorry.
He would call people out if they were talking smack, which is a different scenario.
But not like this, though. This is a whole different animal here.
The problem is Angel Reese is acting like she has everything when she literally has nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people are going to say to me, but Nick, she has everything. She's doing this. Right. Off the court, she might have everything. But on the court, she has 0. She hasn't even won a playoff game. So,
have they even made the playoffs in her 2 years there? I don't think so.
No. They've been miserable twice. Now, one small point I will give her is if she's the name and the big name player on the roster, she has every right to be mad if they're not willing to build around.
That part, yes, and that angle, I 1,000% agree with too. And I've left that out though, but like, I get that side of it too. Is like, you got me here. I was your number one overall pick. You're supposed to build around the core in any sport, and that's where it starts for Chicago. But obviously, there's some kind of weird dysfunction going on again with that organization. I just don't understand it. I
But
just don't get it.
but I'm looking at videos of her sitting on the bench tonight. It's not even like in the NBA they have rules that like when you sit out you're supposed to I don't know if they relaxed that rule since, but
Well, I think they have to appear on the bench, and they're not playing for national TV games.
no. I'm not even no, they have to show up for all games if you're on the roster. But I don't know if they relaxed the suit rule or not, like when you're
Yeah, I think
sitting
they
out.
did after COVID.
Okay, but you still have to be presentable
Yes.
on the bench. I'm looking at her. She looks like she's wearing a designer jacket. And let me be careful. And let me preface this before I make this full comment. Do not come after me for shaming what she looks like, because that's not what I'm doing here. I'm pointing out the way she looks being in a WNBA game atmosphere. She's wearing a designer jacket. She's wearing long boots, like fashion type boots. And she's wearing like these like paparazzi cover sunglasses. Like
Oh, we're
big.
gonna do this crap again of wearing shades inside. Okay, fine. Here you go.
But she looks like she's not even there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Where it was to the point where I think the last game she did sit out, Nick. She was still like in her team affiliated gear, but she had the giant like back heating pad on because of her back flaring up. Last game that she was supposed to sit out the first half because of the suspension.
but it looks ridiculous. She looks like and Christy said it right. Like she should have been a model. She looks like a model sitting on the bench. Doesn't even look like an athlete. Not sitting in the warm ups. A
That's
lot of
what, yeah,
times.
and that's what my point was that she was wearing the warm ups last game where she was supposed to miss it because of the suspension, but she still had the very, the big heating pad around her back.
This is clearly refusal because I'm watching the video over and over, and she's got her leg crossed over one another. It's like a very like angry looking stance.
Now, maybe one more line of defense, is that frustration for the season? Is that frustration about being injured? Is that frustration about, regret about what she said to the media? I mean, we don't know, Nick, but it could be a multitude of factors about about this, the smug look that we're getting or that we got from her. I mean, okay, that might be, wrong, but I'm just, in the mind of an athlete, when you're going through a bad season like this, you can't help your team. You made a regrettable mistake of calling out teammates into the media after a game ended, and then all the other layers on top of the other layers just doesn't help the cause at hand.
The problem is, and you know this, and you have an idea of what I'm going to say, is what has she done on the court to warrant any benefit of the doubt?
Okay, 23 double doubles, folks. We'll say it right here. 23 double doubles. You happy now?
And
deal.
by the way, I'm getting tired of that argument. Like the couple times that I put out the video saying that, and on the ETB Sports Guy, I said it where on the show I said, "Look, you can have 100 double doubles. Did you win the games?"
No, we lost by 30 to the Fever again.
And by the way, another thing that proves my point also, when they did the stupid dance against the Fever
Yes.
and they lost by like 38 or
Yeah.
whatever. But you see her, well, look, we did our TikTok dances and we did our videos. And okay, so you're selfish because you want to help your own digital numbers and you want to do everything for you, but you're playing in a team sport. I think that's what she's forgetting here.
Yep.
Because everyone, like, she goes after Caitlyn and blah, 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 blah. Caitlyn cares about team and always has. The injury is the only thing that derailed her from playing this year.
Yep.
Because to be honest, if she was healthy enough to play, she'd be playing.
Agreed.
You think it's going to kill her? I bet that they made the playoffs and she can't play.
Yeah.
So, to be honest, I don't think Angel Reese cared if they made the playoffs or not.
I don't think so. And I hate to go down that rabbit hole be about like already forcing your way out after 2 years where I said you need to learn to that college success doesn't come with you to the pros right away. Again, Trevor Lawrence is a prime example. We'll see. I mean, I don't want to spend too much more time on it, but I mean, it kind of is what it is for another down year for the Chicago Sky. Nick, the official host of NFL Red Zone, Scott Hansen, before Week 1 had to release a video statement about the show's new commercial space. The commercials now run during the live broadcast, a change from previous seasons where the show had no commercials and Scott Hansen would promise 7 hours of commercial-free football. Nick, it wasn't that egregious from what I heard. Those 4 windows of 15-second ads picture in picture. Nick, thoughts though about Scott Hansen having to probably, in a way, calm the waters of the NFL fans not named your boy in San Diego?
Well, let me preface this. Number one, we had Red Zone on here this past Sunday, so we were able to experience it. And by the way, the plan is to have NFL Red Zone the rest of the season, from what I'm hearing on here.
Have fun.
Wow, you sound so enthused.
I won't be here for it.
But I watched it. It was like 4 or 5 15-second side-by-side commercials.
Yeah.
Can we just put the damn fire out? Like, stop it. Like, it really was not the end of the world. It makes me think of that SpongeBob scene where all the SpongeBobs are running around in SpongeBob's like, we threw out his name! Like, that's how fans are acting right now. Like, and Christy and Jen said it was fun. Christy said Red Zone was so much fun. I wasn't even bothered by the commercials.
Because you probably didn't even recognize them because they happen so fast.
They're 15 to 20 seconds, and they really can't do more than 15 or 20 seconds because it disrupts the flow of Red Zone in that way.
And now a quick one from Kings Hawaiian.
Right. They give you 10, 15 seconds, and you move on.
Let's go back to Green Bay.
Right. And by the way, you and I saw a very interesting video about how Scott does the Red Zone stuff when he's not in the stand-up mode. That he's literally like his hands sometimes are on the back
of
the
his
producer
producers
as he's watching. I didn't realize that when he's not doing the stand-up, it's kind of like doing radio a little bit.
Yeah.
It's kind of like doing radio play-by-play. And they probably plan those stand-ups.
Agreed.
So I guess it's the opener, obviously. And then I guess it's halftime of the first window. And then I guess the witching hour would be another one. And then to open the second window. And then the second halftime for the second window. And then the end. So, but I didn't realize that it was like literally his hand is on producers. Like, and it was weird seeing the room because like you see the green room thing.
Green screens all over the place, TVs all over the place.
It looks like a storage closet.
Yeah.
Almost. But that's the magic of TV with a green screen. But
yeah.
You know what? People need to stop. Like, they're overreacting. You didn't think eventually the NFL... Now, let me stress that one more time. Because some people are the dumbest people in the history of the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't ESPN who put commercials in. Or if you're Governor Gavin Newsom and you think Trump did it. Which is so stupid, by the way.
That wasn't even the case. It was him writing a post mocking the president is all it was. It wasn't anything about actually being upset about the commercials.
It was the NFL. Let's just speak the facts, okay? The NFL realized that they were missing out on money, okay? It's a cost proposition that they did. They said, oh, God, what the hell is that? Do I need to get rid of that?
Yeah, you're going to do that. I mean, I don't know, Nick, though, if Scott Hansen really had to Do I feel like he had to release a statement though about the fact of this outlet was going to go to having 4 windows only for commercial spots? I mean, I don't know if Scott Hansen really needed to, but I think because I think Nick, when you're in the business for a long time and people gravitate to you, much like Scott Hansen has for football fans across the board, when it comes to what he has meant and done for the NFL, that maybe hearing it firsthand from his account or from himself about, look, we're going to have some very much minute changes. They're very small in gravity. That maybe he felt compelled just to say, "Hey, here's what's going to be happening coming up next year or this season," and then like don't flip out.
Yeah, I mean, let's put it this way. I mean, NFL Red Zone will always be NFL Red Zone, but they have to do something or else the product is never going to make any money. Now, people pay monthly for NFL Red Zone, which people forget about also. But they realized that there was money being left on the table, and that's why they put 4 to 5, 15 to 20-second commercials. That's it. That's all it is.
Spammer's gone.
Yeah, I think I got rid of him too.
Nick, let's move on back to the WNBA, my friend, and for sadly some tough reasons for the first-year Golden State Valkyries, who, much like a lot of other WNBA franchises, Nick, usually get forced out of their home arena for playoff games usually. But more importantly, Nick, the first ever Valkyries home playoff game has been moved out of Chase Center to the SAP Center in nearby San Jose, California. We had Nick on Puck Talk to talk about SAP Center having their lease renewed with the San Jose Sharks of the NHL due to scheduling conflicts, Nick, because a long-scheduled tennis tournament is going to Chase Center in San Francisco, highlighting, Nick, the ever-persistent issue in the WNBA, a lack of priority for the 4 teams in their home venues. I know, Nick, that you're upset about it, but Sally, my man, I have seen this so many times, though, in LA with the Sparks having to move games to Cal State Long Beach or to Cal State Fullerton, Cal State Northridge, you name it. The Mercury have moved games to Arizona State or to the old Veterans Memorial Coliseum. Nick, this is sadly just another issue with plaguing the league, though, but more importantly, Nick, the fact that a new franchise can't host their first game in the new arena or in the arena, their first year as a franchise, and being the only expansion franchise to ever make the playoffs in year one, despicable.
I'm sorry. The best way I could put this is everyone stepping on the WNBA. Like, they realize that the WNBA is in shambles, so we're just going to kick them to the curb and treat them like crap.
Yep.
And first year of a franchise, you make the playoffs. Your odds are small usually when you come into the franchise. Any league as an expansion franchise. I mean, look at the Vegas Golden Knights when they came in. Didn't they almost make the cup?
They made it to the final, but lost to Washington.
But think about that. And they weren't shoved out of Vegas for that. I mean, this is despicable. Kathy Engelbert didn't fight enough. You got to fight enough. It's your own home arena. No?
Yeah.
You're moving them to San Jose. Like, how far away is that?
At least a good 45 minutes to an hour south.
You're hurting the fans, too. You're going to make them travel 45 minutes to an hour to go see a playoff game? That's your answer? For the freaking tennis schedule?
If anything, it just shows the fact, Nick, that a lot of these, buildings normally don't have faith in their clubs to make the playoffs.
But wait a second. If this was the Warriors, and I said this argument to you.
If it was the Warriors or the Sharks or anyone making the playoffs, they would have moved the event, which, by the way, Nick, in case you were curious, it's the Laver Cup that's going to Chase Center at 1:00 in the afternoon.
Oh, the Laver Cup.
Yeah, the Laver Cup is going there Friday and Saturday and Sunday for 3 days of tennis at Chase Center.
That's pathetic. I'm sorry. And I'm a tennis fan, by the way. But
all they have to do, you know what they really should have done? Put the games at the Oakland Arena where the Coliseum is and bring some kind of basketball back to Oakland instead of going to San Jose.
It's in the same vicinity.
They're close.
I mean, how far away is it? It's 10,
Probably
15
another
minutes?
like 30 to 45 minutes.
Yes, Jen, I am a crazy obsessive tennis fan. But my point is, you moved a WNBA playoff game for a tennis event. Last time I checked, most tennis events are not indoors.
By the way,
Yeah.
driving time from San Francisco to San Jose, 55 minutes. 50 miles between San Francisco and San Jose.
Okay. Am I crazy to think that that's kind of ridiculous for fans to
When
have
all
to do
they
that?
had to do, Nick, when all they had to do was put them in Oakland and it would have been a 23-minute drive over the Bay Bridge.
This is the point I'm making. And you know what? Like I blame Kathy Engelbert because this is your time of the year. The WNBA playoffs.
As much as I could blame the commissioner, this falls mainly on the arena as a whole for booking events in the window of when the playoffs would have been. Now, again, is it maybe the fact of that Chase Center and the Warriors may have said, okay, first year team, they're probably not going to make the playoffs. We better fulfill the dates. You got to at least still keep those windows open in case they make the postseason.
See,
You know,
bingo. You
yeah,
just did
you
it.
still need to keep it open whether or not they make it or not, because I know damn well that if the Sparks would have made the postseason, Crypto.com Arena would have had to work around the Lakers having preseason games and the Kings having preseason games, where that has happened before, believe it or not, at Staples Center when the Sparks were last in the postseason years ago. They got booted out to Long Beach State's arena because, well, the Lakers are playing the Clippers in a preseason game tonight. They get priority over the building. I don't care about the pecking order. A playoff game takes precedent over a meaningless preseason game, and I'm
Yes.
saying this about the NBA and the NHL.
No, you're 100% right, and I agree. Like this, I don't think Kathy Engelbert speaks up enough to say, "Hey, why are you booting my playoff team out of the building for tennis?"
Yeah, why is there not a phone call from the front office to the franchise or to the arena or the booking agency who books the arena? Can you leave these dates open in case this team makes the playoffs? And if they don't, then you can book it. But if not, they get priority over the building.
I feel like this is going to hurt the local fan base really getting involved because you're going to San Jose.
55 minutes south of San Francisco on a good day with traffic.
And by the way, is that arena even basketball set upable?
Yeah, it's hosted March Madness before.
Right, but the other thing you got to take into account, it was never used for WNBA games, or it's not.
The
It's
Warriors
not.
may have the Warriors may have played a couple of exhibition games there, I think, at one point.
The point is, but the point is, like you said, it's a playoff game.
Yeah, it's not no meaningless game like the season's just starting. I mean,
I don't.
this is a playoff game. For those who are curious, by the way, the tenants that have played at the SAP Center in San Jose include the Sharks, who have been there since opening up in '93. After their first 2 years were played at the Cow Palace, which is still around somehow, some way. There has been a indoor soccer team who has played there. The SAP Open for tennis was played there till 2013. Roller hockey, 2 iterations of indoor football. The Warriors did play 1 year there in San Jose, 96, 97. The American Basketball League played there for 2 years. The NLL was also there. The AHL was there. And now the Indoor Football League is back there again as of 2022. So they have had NBA games there, and I believe that they have also hosted March Madness several times when either Santa Clara gets the bid or San Jose State either gets the bid, I want to say, too.
But obviously the Valkyries haven't played there. It's their first year.
No.
I think that's unfair. That's really not home field or home court
Home court
advantage
advantage.
because you're taking their team out of their home arena.
Precisely.
Who are they? Well, do we know what the matchups are yet? Because I think the first games are soon, right?
First games are soon. The standings, by the way, for those who are curious, because they have home court, obviously. At least I think they have home court. I might be wrong.
That's
Let's
even worse if that's the case, though.
I'm trying to see real quick WNBA standings before we get to our last press clipping here. Press clipping here, because we have a major announcement, folks, coming up at the end of the show that you're going to want to hang around for here. So Golden State, Nick, they're the 8 seed. They'll be on the road to start the playoffs.
Okay, so they kind of squeaked in
They
almost.
squeaked in, and they got to go and play in Minnesota.
Oh,
So it would have to get, I think, to game 3 for them to host a playoff game or game 2. Because I believe it's going to. So the matchups right now: Minnesota, Golden State, Atlanta, Seattle, Vegas, Indiana, Phoenix, New York.
none of those are great, to be honest, either. Man, I
Because
kind of
if it's only 2 out of 3, Nick, it would be just one game in San Jose, and that would be it for them.
I don't know. I just feel bad for the franchise because even if they got their one game, like they're not going to get it.
I mean,
just don't think that's fair.
unless they sweep and win both and win there and out there up in NorCal,
They're
who
not
knows?
beating. They're not beating Minnesota. I don't know. I have major problems with this because you don't have your home court.
Yeah,
You don't have your home fans.
and they sold out all 22 home games. It's never happened in league history, other than Vegas. This is the first market that's ever done that.
It goes to show you that the market actually cares in Golden State. Now, I think part of that has to do with the Warriors, and they've done a good job, so they want to see more basketball.
Brandon Podzinski's been their number 1 fan all year, sitting courtside. I love it.
He's a cool guy. I think he's really funny out there too.
Nick, in your neck of the woods in tennis, my man, longtime ESPN tennis analyst and broadcaster Cliff Drysdale, formerly retired after the U.S. Open concluded after a career spanning over 50 years. His retirement marks the end of an era of the sports broadcast coverage for tennis. Nick, thoughts about Cliff Drysdale's career?
Amazing. Number one, amazing. You can't miss his voice either. He's an Australian accent, right? He's an Aussie.
I believe so. Yeah.
So incredible. I used to love listening to him talk because I just find him like he told really good stories on air too. They did a really good clip package, like montage for him.
Yeah.
Because if you remember, I don't think tennis was like his first thing. He did a few play-by-play things, right?
Yeah. He is actually from South Africa.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I thought he was Aussie, but I'm just trying to look up really fast.
685 career singles wins.
That's crazy. Okay, so he was a tennis player.
Yes.
So he was high. His highest rank in the world was number 4, winning 35 singles titles, 72 U.S. Open doubles title, and served as the first president of the ATP Tour from 1972 to 74. Then started at ESPN in 1979.
Wow.
So you're right. That's over 50 years, right? No.
Yes.
Is it?
Pretty close to it.
Close to 50 years. I think it's 46 because 46 years. Everybody loved him. Everybody loved him who did the broadcast. It was very smooth. It wasn't loud. It's not John McEnroe. It's not.
You cannot be serious.
It was just a very. Oh God, what is going on in our chat? Oh God, what the hell?
I got you. Continue. We're good.
Okay. But yeah, no, this guy, incredible career. He called his last match at 25 U.S. Open, bringing his nearly 50-year broadcasting career with ESPN to a close.
Looks like it's taken care of.
Okay, I still see it on my chat side.
I
But,
know. It just
okay.
says error loading. It says error loading user now, so I think it's taken care of.
Okay. But this guy's incredible career. Incredible career.
Amazing.
It's going to be tough to kind of really
Top it.
top it, right? I mean, I'm trying to think like Berman's maybe in that category.
Berman's going to be what, a 50-year employee of ESPN?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he just signed as an emeritus,
Yeah.
so I don't know. It's gonna be tough to beat, but he was great. I used to love listening to him.
Same. All right, Nick. We got a very big, awesome announcement coming our way for those that are joining us here still on Press Row episode 15. Nick, we have been in some negotiations. We have, I believe, finished off all the paperwork needed. We have gotten the paperwork we need to start doing this though. But Nick, yeah, the floor is yours for this momentous announcement for not just ETB, Nick, but also for playback.
Yeah, so we got an email. A lot of the partners did on here. So we are in that category, obviously, as a partner of playback. So I get an email saying, "Hey, we have a partnership opportunity, sponsor opportunity."
It's
And
coming, baby.
so we were talking about sports books and stuff before. Well, we have a sports book deal.
What?
Yes, so we are going to be working with a sports book partner called Novig, Novig. And basically, it's the way it works is on the normal apps, DraftKings, the FanDuels, the Underdogs. Basically, what happens is you get better odds. That's why they call it no vig, because they don't pull out the extra fee sometimes that the other books get. So that lowers the odds slightly. Now you get better odds because you're playing against each other instead of the house, which is kind of a cool little feature. It's still the same betting stuff, and all that stuff, and it's legal. It's basically legal almost everywhere, which is great. And
Including in California.
including in California. Yes. So,
And New York and Florida and Georgia and Texas.
yeah, it's legal in all the states that you wouldn't think of because they're strict with their gambling laws. But you're going to see a lot of gambling content coming up out of here. Some NBA stuff. You and I are going to rehatch Alley-Oop Analytics as well to bring that back as our pregame show for our NBA streams, which we're going to be doing a lot of now that NBC and Amazon, and they're going to have all the rights to all those games. So Alley-Oop Analytics will be our pregame show leading up into the live streams, the doubleheader live streams that we're going to be doing. But it's going to be fun. We're going to make some parlay action and some bets that we're going to put out for everybody to follow. Also, you will be doing some NHL stuff, except for one team, obviously. Yeah. But you will cover the rest of the NHL.
Don't worry. It'll all be covered in some way, shape, form, or size.
So you'll be doing some NHL parlay bets and stuff, some on Puck Talk, but you'll get some individual stuff as well through the Puck Talk pages. So, and then we're going to have some other people, our Unnecessary Wagers gambling show, which is perfect for this type of opportunity. You're going to see a lot out of them. So you're going to see us using the Novig Sportsbook going forward once we start putting all the reads together, now that we can do that. And
excellent.
So we have a lot on our plate to really figure out, but this is an opportunity for us to grow and to do a lot of fun things. And like I said, with all the other opportunities, like with NFL Red Zone now being at our disposal, we could do some NFL stuff. We could do MLB stuff with the MLB playoffs coming up very soon. The WNBA WNBA playoffs coming up soon.
Playoffs.
Boy. They have tennis, they have UFC, they have college football, they have college basketball. They have it all. They have it all. So that's the big announcement. Novig, Novig. They have a website and they have an app.
So
So
download the app, get started, folks. We'll have more about this as time goes on. This has been a very nice kind of watershed moment, I guess, Nick, for the amount of time that has been put in by everybody here on ETB, and also by the playback community and by Brandon and the guys working on behind the scenes when it comes to getting a sponsorship deal. This is obviously a new era that we're living in, though, where people are putting money down on sports in so many different ways. But more importantly, I think, Nick, having a almost like a upstart network like playback, but then like upstart wagering company just makes total sense though in this fashion.
yeah, I mean, gambling and sports books are the future. That's where a lot of the sponsorship money is. So props to playback for figuring it out. Number one. And to put it this way, we're gonna have a nice little deal when we give you our promo code that you can earn some free Novig money to put down on some games. So that'll be in probably starting next week, just so we can get everything under wraps. But it's official. It's officially official. Novig and Playback, Novig, and ETB Network sponsorship deal is ready to go. And lots of sports gambling content that we have prepped and ready to go for as well. And the interesting thing that they're working on is some scrolls, Novig sports betting scrolls, which, like on TV, that'd be kind of cool that we could run those during games.
Finally.
Hey, there's the lower thirds you were asking for.
Hey, it finally happened.
It finally happened.
So for those who are wondering, by the way, you can go to their website. It's Novig, Novig.us. Learn more about them. You can also, again, download their app for free from the App Store or the Google Play Store and go from there. Again, we're going to be having more of this content and more about this when time does kind of carry into next week. More importantly, though, Mr. Morgeson, great show this evening. Any final thoughts to pass along? I know we have another action-packed show at a different date and different start time next week, but it's going to be a good one, though. What do we got?
Excuse me. So next week will be on Wednesday, and it's going to be fashionably early for this show, which, believe it or not, I actually kind of like the idea of that time slot, actually, maybe in the future.
That used to be where the show used to be, but mainly on Thursdays.
So maybe we could try and work that in. That would help us land more guests. We were at that time. But we will be on Wednesday. What is that? The 17th?
17th.
So September 17th. Drive time, as they say in radio.
Yeah, buddy.
At least on the Eastern side. Eastern time zone. 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern. That'll be, as I said, Wednesday the 17th. We already have pretty much one guest confirmed, which you heard, Casey Stern. That's the plan for next week.
Let's go.
And I'm trying to confirm with not Michael. What's his name? That's bad that I can't remember his name now. It was Michael McCarthy from Front Office Sports. He's a senior media reporter for Front Office Sports. I happen to like him a lot. He is very good in this space. He's a perfect guest for this show, too.
Yeah.
So I think we'll have a good time with that. Hopefully I can make that happen. He is from New York, so we'll be able to control the time zone at least.
Let's go, baby.
So hopefully that works out. But Casey Stern at least is pretty much a 100% go for next Wednesday. So make sure you tune in for that. Hopefully we have two guests. And by this time next week, maybe we'll be doing some reads for Novig during the show as well. So Hey, you know what? We're gonna have to do a press row parlay. See, it rings.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
This is bad. Like this is like Callan's like my bounce off board. Like
Oh man.
I literally just start throwing stuff at him. Write it down. Write it down. Yes, another SpongeBob reference.
That's literally, folks, what the Press Row Slack channel looks like.
It's
By
like
the time that we're off the air here in like 30 seconds, we're already working on the next show.
I mean, I think that shows dedication to the show, at least.
To bring
And
you to bring you folks a very good program every week that we're here.
And you know what? I think the dedication is finally paying off because of this now going forward, that we have a chance to really have it be incentivized. Not to, I'm pulling the curtain back a little bit, but the point is, if we have resources, aka a little bit of money to help us run a network, we could do more things here. So look at it as we're going to bring more content because of being incentivized to grow and work harder at it. So you're going to see more streams, more NBA games, some MLB playoffs, some WNBA. What else? Am I leaving anything else out? NFL. That's weird.
PWHL on YouTube when their schedule comes out and when I can make time to be here during the hockey season.
Yeah. Hey, NHL, that's your cue as well.
No kidding.
Because I'm telling you right now, if NHL playback people, and this is not a mean thing, playback people, if you were to get the NHL, you have two very interested people who would sit and watch NHL games. I'm just gonna my puck talk show people over here would watch.
I'm one of them.
They would watch a lot of NHL. So I'm begging. You already have ESPN stuff. Seriously. As Jen says, I'm here. Well, just some quick programming notes as well.
Yes.
Usually Saturday there's not much on here. That's kind of our sit and rest day, except for Between the Ropes is coming up on Saturday. So for the rest of the NFL season, Between the Ropes will be on Saturday because it looks like NFL is Red Zone is going to be offered to us for the rest of the season, which I'm happy about. So that'll be moving to Saturday. MTGP Leftovers, one of Callan's favorite shows. Also
only because poor Nick Morgeson gets just shredded in the comments every time that the show's on the air.
Well, it's been like 3 or 4 weeks since I've done the show. Now that Johnny stepped in to be the co-host of it,
but still, it's like it's the roast Morgeson session over the open fire.
What else is new? I think
not on this show at least, which is good.
Oh no, sometimes I get roasted in the comments, but I'm used to it. That's the difference. Like a certain someone who's not here anymore couldn't handle being roasted in the comments. You and I, let's go, bring it, bring the roast. I might turn into a marshmallow or a s'more, but I'm okay with being roasted.
How can I have s'more of nothing?
I see what you did there. Well, that'll do it for Press Row. Another episode.
What a night
in the book. That wraps up for episode 15. Don't forget to follow us across all social media platforms at ETB Network. And smash that subscribe button over at youtube.com/ETB Network, which, by the way, we went 3 hours and I forgot to say the show was simulcasted on YouTube.
I think I mentioned it that the show is being simulcast at the top of the program.
Oh, did you? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay. Like this show, every single thing now, I checked. Everything is simulcasted now on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ETB Network. So give us a like and subscribe over there. Subscribe over here. And of course, a massive shout out to Playback TV for making all of this possible. Download the Playback app, sign up for free, playback.tv. Then go find our community, playback.tv/ETB Network, and never watch sports alone or podcasts alone again. Yes.
Do it. That means you do it.
We will be back next week. Until then, as Callan says, stay plugged in. Our next show will be Wednesday, September 17th, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, with some guests.
Finally.
As we will hopefully welcome Casey Stern. When I tell you that's a great guest, I promise you want to be there for it. He's got an incredible story for multiple reasons. Nothing bad, but he started at the bottom, made his way to the top, Unfortunately, had a situation. I don't know how much we can get into that situation, but we'll try to talk about it a little bit. But until then, for Callan, I'm Nick.